The great Robert Randolph kicks us off for the Bennington Show this week. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
Joe Bennington.
With sips.
And Stanley.
Que paso?
All right. At your own place. It is the Bennington Show after a football weekend of rape and pillage and destruction. The number of people who went out in our Highlander contest is massive. And I understand this is true of eliminator pools all over when you have people dropping like flies because the Bucks win, the Jags win,
Raiders
crush Baltimore. And all the Philly Chip Kelly stuff was a lie and a hoax, just a bullshit.
Heartbreaking lie.
But it's over now. You know, this is the beauty of going 0-2. It's like, I think everybody has come home one night to their apartment, found that their girlfriend has ripped all your shit off the wall, fucking thrown your clothes all over, and just fucking taking stuff. And you feel bad. And then the next day you're like, why was I with that psycho bitch anyway? My life is great now. That's how I feel about the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, I just feel like they can't hurt us anymore. It's like not more than we've already hurt ourselves.
They've already fucked up our apartment. It's done.
They took
a fucking shit in our aquarium. So what? Forget about them. The shit's floating.
You can't even be emotional over that game.
Do what I do. Drop your fucking keys on the floor and just walk out. Don't even take anything with you. Start fresh. Send some friends over later.
I don't want any memory of this. I'm not carrying this with me.
But also, this goes to show, once again, what a lie ESPN is, because they hyped, they talked about, they pushed, and it's nothing. It never was anything.
They bought into this idea that Chip was a genius. And they actually were saying, they've got it. They've got it this year.
And people would say to me, what's with Chip Kelly? And I go, I don't know. They say he's a genius, but he might be a madman. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Well, we waited. We saw. Yesterday, I felt bad. Today, it's gone. You know what? Me and Big J went back and forth with a couple of texts about how awful and hateful we are. And now we're done.
Yeah.
It's over. Good. Sundays are open now. I'm going to do stuff I should be doing, like going to museums and sissy brunches.
Yeah. Shake it off. Go out.
Gay
plays.
Fall. Maybe I should go and watch gay plays on Sundays. What are the gays up to this day? Making plays?
Mm-hmm. Plenty. It's an improvement. It's an improvement. You're free now.
I'm free. Free. I don't need televised violence. It's done. It's over. Or maybe I'll just be one of those people who go, I like Brady. I saw Rob Lowe on the red carpet, and he said his two favorite teams. Well, you know that he's the big Colts guy, and he goes and sits in the thing. He's like, oh, my two favorite teams are the Colts and the Patriots. And I go, you can't fucking do that, Rob Lowe. The Patriots destroy the Colts. You should be wrecked by them. They should be your Cowboys. By the way, whoever started the hashtag no Romo last night, you're as bad as the people in Philly cheering as he laid there on the ground. Now, here's the deal, too, and this was in the back of my head. Maybe if the Pope would have came in this week, you know what I mean? There could have been some kind of secret magic blessings that went around.
They actually need an exorcism. A blessing is not enough.
The Pope actually said this, and he said it in Latin, a dead language. He said, I don't know anything about American football, but you guys blow. You got no offense whatsoever.
It sounds so much prettier, though, when he says it in Latin.
Oh, and then he said Chip Kelly is going to hell, where he will be butt-fucked by Stalin and Hitler and all the little boys from the Khmer Rouge.
Good.
Yeah, good. Good, that's what he deserves. Good. See, we're done with them now. We're done with the eggs. So glad that they're not here with us today. Seattle's 0-2 also. What is it that Aaron Rodgers said to after the game, he made a little remark that, well, Joey, you know all about it. You read the stuff before the show starts.
Yeah, he said that he credited the win towards God, and he said that God was a Packers fan that night.
And that's because last year, after they came back, Seattle acted like they had God on your side. Now, a lot of people are mad at Aaron Rodgers for doing that. But if someone tells you that a supreme and eternal being is against your team, that's got to sting after a bad loss. I kind of feel like if the Packers would have won that game, they would have beat the Patriots still.
Really?
Yeah, I really believe that. I thought at the end of the year, they were the best team, and then that freak meltdown in Seattle fucked everything up. I think we both sit around going, I think Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest of all time. In the meantime, no one ever talked about him all summer long. Nobody. They're talking about Chip fucking Kelly constantly.
Ugh. Even the name makes me sick.
Chip. Fucking Buffalo Chip is what it is. Speaking of Buffalo, I'm sorry that you got that day handed to you yesterday, because the city was so excited the week before. They were going to the Super Bowl. I heard from my buddy Greg from Buffalo. Dude, meet me at the Super Bowl. We're going. I'm fucking buying everything. Okay. Don't you worry about a thing. You just be there. I'm getting the booze, the whores, the cocaine. We're going. You know, people in Buffalo, they have such sad hope all the time for their football team, and then to have that happen. But on I think on a brighter note, a Buffalo Wings, hot wings place in California had the fattest brawl I've ever seen in my life up on the I-Bank today. A big brawl. And what is the name of this town? It's in L.A. somewhere, right? But far from the beach, it has to be. But just take a look at the size of the guys punching each other outside of this Buffalo wing joint. It's stunning that there weren't mass heart attacks throughout this fight, because it looks like these are guys that haven't moved since high school and then just start unloading on each other. The video's up on the iBank, but look at these.
Oh my God.
It's a really fucking hilarious fight.
This is heavyweights at its best. Whoa.
Short heavyweights.
Very stacky.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're huge.
I mean, they're wearing football jerseys that are tight around the belly.
It just looks like bowling balls being rolled in from each angle.
It's just the greatest fight I've seen in quite some time. It's like the Battle Cholesterol Royal is taking... I mean, this is the worst week for this Buffalo wing chain, which I had never even heard before. I think they're called Buffalo Hot Wings. They got the 9/11 guy who said that he rappelled out of the building.
Yes.
And ran down the street. They had to fire him.
Steve Renazizi.
Yeah. And now this, just the tons of fun fucking street brawl. It's an amazing. I mean, normally I don't like the street fights that they, you know, well, the only thing I like when people yell "World Star" why it's happened. I'm like, what a brand that is. That if a fight takes place anywhere, even my mom would now yell out "World Star," or sometimes "World Star bitches" or "World Star motherfucker." Joe, I got a little feedback on you. A person claimed that they had won from the Pretty Good prize closet last week.
Okay.
And have already gotten their prize sent to them.
All right.
Joey Jojo.
Beautiful.
He the man.
There we go.
He the man. We were talking about Philadelphia getting the Pope. We get the Pope, I believe, here tomorrow in New York. New York One, which is a local TV station. You have to be one of the 5 boroughs to watch this. And oddly, you don't understand how much New York One that we all watch. Everyone I know.
It's the default channel on Time Warner. If you turn your box off,
it pops up.
It's great.
And then something's coming up about one of the neighborhoods, or my favorite show, Theater Talk.
Oh, so good.
Of people you've never heard of before.
Love Roma Torre.
Yeah. they're just so in depth. And then I also like On Demand Talking Pictures. I'm not going to lie to you about that. That's another one where they'll tell you what to watch on demand this month.
I catch the call.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, this Mr. Turner sounds good. How did I end up missing it when it was in the theaters? But they are giving us a Pope channel. They're going to be following the Pope 24/7. Even while he sleeps, there's going to be a sleep cam on him.
Good.
He's going to be, well, my street is shut down. Now, my street runs straight across Central Park, so Obama has used it several times.
Right.
So I'm wondering if the Pope will use it, zip across. But he's going to St. Pat's, which is big. He's going to East Harlem, smart move.
Mm-hmm.
And then drive slowly through Central Park, letting people throw palms at him or whatever they do, going to play Madison Square Garden. But this is nothing compared to what Philadelphia is getting. 1 million plus people hearing Mass with Jim Gaffigan opening up for the Pope.
Huge.
Ridiculous.
I'm going to say this. If I'm producing that show, after Gaffigan, we'll be back in 15 minutes. I don't want the Pope coming out and following a Hot Pockets routine and not being able to win the crowd back. He's not going to be able to do it.
No, it's impossible.
But this Pope is so beloved. Now, do you remember the last Pope who they said looked like the bad guy from Star Wars?
Nazi Pope.
He was a Nazi Hitler Youth Pope.
He came into my neighborhood. He was the first Pope ever to go into a Jewish synagogue, which is in my neighborhood. So I got up to walk over. The cop says, you can't go to the Jewish synagogue, but he's going to be riding down to St. Patrick's. I walked up, no problem at all, to Fifth Avenue, where it was just me and Hispanics. There was no Italians, Polish, Irish, just Hispanics. But you could have been on the rail easily. He went by in the Pope mobile, just waving. Actually went through a lot faster than I thought he was going to go. I mean, he was probably doing about 35 or 40. I was shocked. I thought he would go back like 4 or 5 miles an hour.
Yeah, you're hoping parade.
I didn't care much about it. But I was like, oh, there goes the Pope. He's a Pope aquarium. And then I walked back to my house, and that's the end of it. This Pope, he changes everything.
He's beloved. He's beloved. The way people talk about him. I've never heard this in my lifetime. I've never heard... This is the third Pope of my lifetime or fourth?
Third.
Third.
He's the third. Yeah, because you had that old fucking Pope that looked like a question mark. Remember his...
Sure.
Yeah. Now, this Pope, you would swear he put out an album called Joshua Tree back in the 80s. That's how much people love him. And he is very liberal.
Yes.
And very socialist and very progressive until it comes to people with vaginas. And then he has no time for them.
Not so much.
He's into gays more than he's into popes marrying. They say we might, in our life, go so Protestant that a priest can get married.
Wow.
Yeah.
This guy, I don't know. He's really worked on that brand.
They just dig this Argentina madman. He's just, he's the best. Now, Philly, the mayor of Philadelphia, Nutter.
Oh, Mayor Nutter.
Nutter claims this, and he swears to it, that he's going to give the Pope a hoagie from Wawa.
What?
Not even a nice Sarcones
No.
or a cheesesteak. He's giving them a cold Wawa hoagie, maybe even the meatball sandwich, because a lot of times I'll call them meatball hoagies there.
Sure.
I don't do that, though.
Right.
I'm not one of those fucking people. Just in the same way, I'm not one of the people who can act like you have a fucking chicken to replace the cheesesteak.
Right.
No, that's bullshit to me.
It's got steak in the name.
Now, is he honestly, do you think, the way he's making it sound, he's going to take the Pope to a new Wawa that opened up?
That's what his claim is. He made this claim at the grand opening of one of the new Wawas, which has like a little dine-in section. And he said, I will give the Pope a Wawa hoagie of his choice.
Of his choice.
That's what he said. Whichever he chooses,
by the
but
way,
he will eat one.
So you're going to treat the Pope the way any other human being with fucking $7 can be treated when they walk into a Wawa in Philly. This is going to be, first of all, Gaffigan, this has got to be the greatest set of all time. I mean, when people go and they do some time at something like Woodstock, that's, that's already ridiculous. But to open for the Pope.
It's crazy. It's unheard of.
I guess.
I mean, Philly is really popping. I also heard today that the Phillies are making a rookie card for the Pope that they're going to be handing out at the next game.
You know what? Fucking tack it to his Wawa, fucking hoagie.
They're going to Photoshop him in a uniform?
Yeah. Why don't you take him out in a duck boat, lady?
The duck to ride?
No, they're going to expect him to put on a fucking uniform.
Please pause for this.
By the way, the Phillies couldn't get fans if they were handing out pussy now. Motherfuckers. Here's Rick. Rick in Philly. How are you, buddy?
Not good. The Pope's coming to Philly, and he's fucking up our whole world. All the 76 and 476 are going to be closed for freaking 2 days.
Dude, everything's going to be closed. They're closing down 86 blocks in New York City.
I don't get it.
That's insane.
It sounds like the whole city. Like everything's done.
Yeah, you got to treat this Pope like he's a blizzard. You know what I mean? Just be like...
It's worse than a blizzard. It's worse than a blizzard. At least they clear the freaking streets during a blizzard. The Pope's going to be here for freaking 2 days. It's a nightmare.
Well, they can't clear the streets of a Pope. I mean, but I think he's going to bring a lot of money into Philly. I mean...
The parking alone.
Soft pretzels are going for $37 now.
What?
Yeah.
$37.
Yeah.
Did Chris Stanley pick the Eagles yesterday? Because he cost me a lot of money.
He told me, he goes, don't worry about it. I got if it means anything to you, he took such a bath on his fucking thing that I heard from him all day. Fucking Detroit, fucking Philly.
Fucking Rams.
He was...
Don't let him bet on the Eagles anymore this year.
I had to show up with an envelope full of cash just to float this prick the next week.
Ron, I need a favor.
And my chick is saying, why? Why? I go, I got to have a producer. He's going to get his fucking legs broken up.
I hate you, Chris Stanley.
I hate myself.
Good.
Hey, Gary. Gary, how you doing?
So, yeah, Ron, I don't know. I guess you didn't read the rest of the article about the Wawa. The kicker is that the Pope gets a free large drink and onion ring.
And
That's where the special comes in.
I got news for you. When I get hoagie, I want chips on the side. I don't want a fucking hot thing.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I've never went with a fry or an onion ring.
You know, if I would show up with just a roast pork from, Tommy Dinac, and just go like this. Hey, you can eat that hoagie over there. Look at this.
Take a look at this.
Yeah. Please. Think either way.
I'm going to show up with a Doc's cheesesteak.
By the way, I definitely...
Please consider this as well.
And a tasty cake as part of the meal. I feel like Sarkone's got to be like, you got to be kidding me. You make the best hoagie in the world. And this is what you're playing with? By the way, Sarkone's never wins any of those best hoagies in Philly.
That's crazy to me. The bread alone.
I know. It's all about the bread. But good, I say. Because I don't want there to be long lines every time I pull up. It takes long enough.
Yeah, you don't want people sniffing around.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was talking about. I don't want the nut draggers suddenly finding up. I ran a contest and they said this was good. I want the fucking Pope and his underlings in there. His posse, the Pope posse. Here's the other thing with the Pope. We're going so far that Homeland Security is in charge of this. This would be, of course, nothing can happen to the Pope in the United Guns of America. I mean, this is World War I got started because of an assassination. We would really look like idiots if something happens to the Pope. I will throw myself in front of that Pope if need be.
Because isn't he not too into like the Pope mobile and all the security details and that kind of his thing?
Yeah,
he comes out, he's always touching people.
He walks around, he touches people. I saw it was on CBS Sunday Morning that he picks up this muscular dystrophy kid, I guess, or something. I don't know diseases. Mm-hmm. I didn't go as far in medical school as I wanted to. Apparently they don't take shot majors. Okay, well, fuck you. Now who's got 7 radio shows? Me. I don't want you to answer me. So to this kid, he basically is kind of locked in this thing. He can't move except for his head goes back and forth. So the Pope picks him up, and you see this little kid wrap his arm around the Pope.
Oh my God.
I got a little choked. I go, maybe everything's real. I don't know. Maybe Green Bay is going all the way now. Aaron Rodgers has never told a lie, as far as I know, and he's got a lovely girlfriend. So maybe the Pope, Aaron Rodgers. Just bet Green Bay the rest of the season.
Got it.
The same bet.
Chuck.
Hey, Ronnie, what's going on, man?
Hey. Oh, it's our buddy Chuck from North Carolina.
Yeah, same old shit going on. I was thinking, I'm not a Catholic or nothing, but who would fucking charge the Pope to eat or for coffee anyway? Don't he get everything free?
I'm fairly sure he doesn't have any place to put his wallet.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. I don't know. He don't carry no cash, so he's going to eat free any damn way.
Maybe he's got one of those things where he's got like one of those little bags you tie on a rope and you put around your neck.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Between your titties, so they have to rape you to get your money.
Like a little friar's sack.
Yeah, that's it.
If you charge him too much, he might put a bad blessing on you or something. You would be screwed.
I don't know if he does bad blessings. I don't know if the Pope has ever done a curse.
He's not big on hexes normally.
That
we know of.
Is this the Pope that's black?
No.
Oh, he's not? I thought this was a Pope that was black.
No, you're thinking of Kevin Hart. He's from Philly, too.
Kevin Hart couldn't damn come out the bubble of the car.
Oh.
It'd be too short.
That's really funny. Just a little hand, little Kevin Hart hand up there. You know, Kevin Hart should be there. They should have Kevin Hart open.
Yeah, why not?
He's a Philly comic. Gaffigan isn't.
Annoyed them. He would have said no cell phones, a million people. I'd say you're out.
We can't control this.
Take care of yourself. That damn Stanley couldn't bet for shit, could he?
Let me just say this. Stanley got a legitimate line off that it didn't have anything to do with a dick end or a fucking asshole. That was just a funny line. It stood on his own.
He just needs to stay with drinking and drugs, something he knows something about.
Well, he likes to also have gambling. He likes to have every bad vice there is.
Yeah, hand in hand.
All right, Ronnie, y'all have a good day up
Peace.
there, man. I love your show.
You would not be able to get into any rehab because you'd have to stay there so long to deal with each one of these addictions one at a time.
A checklist.
He has to keep starting over.
He's got everything but a sex addiction. It's the only thing. And then his girlfriend said to me, I wish he had a sex addiction. And then we both laughed and fucking high-fived. Really? We turned that into a soul
You guys are close.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're very close. You know why? You know why we're close? I'm more comfortable with women friends than I am men friends.
You do. You always have a lady partner nearby.
Yeah. Yeah. You weren't supposed to notice. But, yeah. I mean, I like to think that I'm a little sophisticated in this world, and I don't want to just hang around with guys scratching their nuts.
Sure.
A la Chris Stanley.
Hanging out with the dogs, the bros.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So terrible, right?
No, it isn't, Chris. Mike, what's up?
Hey, Ron, you always say the dessert's part of the meal. I want to know, is the Pope getting tasty cakes from Wawa?
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to have tasty cakes after hoagie because you want to get the hoagie tasted out and replace it with a nice, fresh, I would say either butterscotch crimpet or the peanut butter.
Yeah, candy cake.
The candy cake, which I actually called Tandy Take for so long as like a fun joke that I forgot that that's not the actual name. I went from fun joke with it to walking up to a place going, you got any Tandy Takes? And they're like, what?
I'm an idiot. I'm just going to leave.
I have a bad tongue. By the way, I was talking about the kid with muscular dystrophy or whatever, but there's a video up of John Lennon doing a roast battle on the disabled back in the early 60s where he acts like he's disabled on stage with the kids laughing and cheering.
Oh, boy.
And a lot of people said, I wish that he was still alive so we could shoot him again. And people said to me, don't you hate him for this? Is he still a hero of yours? I said, I would only hate him if he did this and he was Paul McCartney.
Sure.
But John Lennon gets away with everything.
Paul gets away with nothing. Paul says something even slightly irritating.
Yeah, if Paul said this was terrible what John did, But you can see how he's acting on stage.
No, John, no.
No, you have to remember, this was 50 years ago.
Right? Come on.
By the way, the other day in New York, I saw, I don't know what, again, I don't know what it'd be called, but a woman who was walking and her legs didn't.
Okay. They were
what's the word?
small or they're
No, I mean, they were
atrophied
like
or...
atrophied, and they were going back and forth, and she had a difficult walk, but God damn it, she was out there doing it. She wasn't walking with a cane or a walker. She was, heading out. Now, normally I do the, look out, look who's drunk. You know what I mean? Like, that's been my joke now for decades. But I didn't see her till she walked by, and she had this, thing that she was dealing with. But her ass was amazing.
Really?
Her ass was phenomenal.
I'm wondering if it's, she's using that as the strength. That's her core.
Or is that prejudice, what you just said? Maybe she's just a woman with a perfect ass.
Could be, but it just seems like maybe she's compensating there.
And I was thinking maybe she'd make some big money. You know what I mean? Trying to teach people how to have that, nice round ass.
Get her on Instagram.
Here's Rich in Strong Island. Hey, Ron. I just tuned in now. Now I'm like you. I'm from Philly originally. I just wanted to point out you're actually correct in saying Candy Cakes, which was the original name for the longest time of the product.
You're kidding me.
I'm pretty sure they only later changed it to Candy Cakes because that's what people incorrectly said for a long time.
I feel like I'm insane now.
Oh, my God.
Well, first of all, Rich, you're going to the pretty good prize closet because my mind is blown. But we will get to the bottom of this.
Awesome.
My mind is blown by that. Now, by the way, if you live anywhere except for in a 25-mile radius of Philadelphia, this means nothing to you. But to me, it means the world. The absolute world.
This is incredible. I remember you calling them Candy Cakes.
I thought I made it up. It was just like a joke. But subconsciously, I've been right all this time.
I like the idea that just one day you pick up the package, like, what have I been saying?
Well, remember they said this about the bears? That everybody always said the bear's name wrong? That the little bears that live on the sunny dirt road?
Oh, yeah, Bernstein.
Yeah, but it's changed. We said Bernstein all these years.
Bernstein.
What are you doing?
It's Bernstein.
We have a guest coming in.
Yes.
Mr. Brian Regan.
Oh, Brian's got his big Radio City Music Hall this week. And then we're also doing the Unmasked with Brian Regan Friday, 2 p.m. And it runs all weekend. And you can watch him live on Comedy Central. Let's bring Brian in. What a big week for Brian Regan. Good to see you, pal.
You too, Ron. How are you?
I'm very good. Saturday night is your big night live.
Yes.
Time to start writing jokes.
As soon as this interview is over, I'm buying a legal pad. Start jotting down some ideas.
Here's what I love about this. It's the Pope and Brian Regan same week.
Yeah. I have this fantasy that he's going to ask for tickets.
That would be so great.
Would that be amazing?
Did you hear his opening for him in Philly? Gaffigan. I am not making it up, Brian.
Wow.
I swear.
Wow. That's good for both of them. Good for both of them.
Well, here's what I actually think they should do. And a certain person did this with you before. After Gaffigan, 15-minute break, and then the Pope comes back out because you don't want to follow Gaffigan.
You don't want to. The Pope is smarter than that. He's going to have a little lull in between.
I'm not even going to bring up, at his height, a certain great comedian had Brian open for him, and after a few shows, took the break in between the acts.
Really?
You don't have to say because you want to keep the nice guy thing.
I don't know about. I don't know.
That's the smartest move in the world. That's the smartest move in the world you're doing right now. By the way, you were kind enough to come to Caroline's and do that Unmasked. The New York comics came out. And what a day it was.
It was amazing. Ron, you're amazing. You're an excellent interviewer. You made me look halfway decent. And the fact that there were some some great comedians in the audience who had come out just meant the world to me. It was quite flattering.
Well, they were all out that day. Matter of fact, the Interrobang wrote something up about it, and today, all those comedians, I guess later that day, gave what was their favorite bits of yours, bits that they heard early on and made them want to start writing better. Most of them brought up, like, I really want to start working harder on my career because this guy's out there doing this.
Well, maybe they saw how badly I was doing and said, we all should start writing more. If this is the level of stand-up, it's on all of us. No, I don't know. It was just, it was a great, and you did another Unmasked with me years ago, and that was down in Washington, D.C. I think we shot it. Audioed it.
Yeah.
I need a dictionary. We audioed that.
Because the word tape doesn't exist.
I'm really good with showbiz.
Yeah.
And so thanks for having me back on to the next Unmasked.
Well, that was when with that first one we did, I was like, children are here with their parents and stuff. And that was the first time I saw Brian had really created his own audience. And that's why I think that you don't realize how much your comedy means to a lot of comics, particularly, these comics that were out there that day. And none of them work in you wouldn't look at them and go, okay, they're doing kind of a Brian Regan thing. These are just people who do comedy and know comedy and appreciate comedy. So for all those guys that come out, I thought was really, really cool.
Absolutely. And comedy, there's a lot of different styles to it. And I think you can maybe do one type of comedy and still like somebody who does something completely different.
Sure.
So,
but a lot of those folks, have already done Letterman and everything else. And it was a really, really fun day to see them come out. And then what was fun for me later, they all went, I really had a hard time paying attention because I was thinking about my question.
I heard that from a lot. How did I do? Is it okay? Or
they were interested in their moment. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Did you catch any of the interview? Or
so they could say they were on Unmasked.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get nervous too when I have to do something like that. I had my building just had a meeting where they were talking about some construction that was going to be done next door.
Yeah.
It's like a little building meeting, and they're getting to the point where they're asking questions, and my heart starts pounding, and I'm like, I'm going to be performing a Radio City Music Hall, and I'm nervous to raise my hand and go, will construction stop at 6 p.m.?
That is really true.
I didn't raise my hand.
Yeah.
I was that.
You were that nervous?
No, I didn't ask the question. I thought I'll find out when it happens.
I run into that sometimes with small talk, like if I'm in a coffee shop and I'm like, I just wish we had 2 microphones here. If I had a microphone, this would all become so interesting for all of us. But, I'll just be like, yeah, it's hot. I want out immediately.
Yeah, I'm very low key is an understatement, off stage. I don't like, I kind of like to be invisible.
Yeah.
And, sitting next to somebody on an airplane, I just, I can't get now I wear my headphones on as I'm getting on the plane.
Right.
I want the message clear before because then it's too late. If you sit down and you don't have the headphones on yet,
right.
You have to walk in with and I make sure the red light is on, so the red light is on. And so if somebody, if my seatmate is looking at me, they already know this guy is not a talker. I don't want to chat. I had a guy talk to me one time on a plane. He wasn't sitting next to me. He was sitting behind me, directly behind me. And he recognized me as I was putting my bag in the overhead rack. He goes, "Oh, you're the comedian." And I was like, "Yeah." And I'm in the window, and he's in the window behind me. And he kept asking me questions, and the seat, goes up above your head. I had to push up my head and turn it like a ventriloquist dummy to answer his questions. It was like, "You ever meet Rodney Dangerfield?" And I had to push my head up and turn it. Yeah, a couple times, and then I turn my head back and slink back down. Maybe that was the last question. How often have you met him? Push my head back up, turn it again. You know, so it gets awkward. So now it's red light on the headphones.
Well, right, particularly for you because you have too good of a reputation to treat someone the way other people could easily treat them. Just to shut the hell up. I'll come back there and smack you. You can't do that if you're Brian Regan. I'm just trying to take a flight, dude.
I'm sitting in front of you, man.
That's, well, you know what's interesting here too is like I interview a lot of people, comics, musicians, writers, but until you get the actors, unless they're given a script, don't really know exactly what to say about it. And a lot of them, the best actors, Robert De Niro is a great example of this, you ever see him, when he's in between roles, he's kind of no one. He kind of keeps an empty vessel so he could fill that with, you know, the new character. Because I guess he doesn't want to take any of his personality. And that's great until you see him on the first Jimmy Fallon. And Jimmy's just sweating.
It's all on him.
Yeah. Jimmy's
nothing from
dying.
this guy.
Yeah. And you're like, can't you create a character who's good on the Tonight Show? Shouldn't that be there? For you?
Right.
Yeah.
Create a guest character, you know, that answers, that has anecdotes and stuff.
Yeah.
No, I've never been good at that. You know, the receiving questions stuff.
Just the small talk, that, I mean, you like to go in with some material when you go on TV.
Well, if I'm doing a TV spot, I'm most comfortable just doing the stand-up, you know what I mean?
And not coming over.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, well, I'll give you an example. I was doing Letterman, and I did the stand-up, and that went well. And then I go sit on the panel, and I had a joke about, what the heck was it? Going to the eye doctor. And he was supposed to say something like, have you been taking care of yourself? And then I was going to say, I recently went to the eye doctor. Well, he didn't realize where I was going with it, and instead of saying, so have you been taking care of yourself, he said, so have you been staying in shape? And my brain exploded. Like, I couldn't think of a way to connect the dots. And I was like, stay in shape, you know, and sometimes, you know, you do different things. I went to the eye doctor. And he went, wow, that'll keep you in shape. You know, like, you got to laugh.
Right.
And then I jammed my eye doctor joke in.
Well, you know, Letterman is exactly what we were talking about. He has never been comfortable outside of that place that he's very comfortable at.
Right.
You know, but you'll never go around New York and go into a restaurant and see a picture of Letterman with the owner, or he just gets out of town as soon as the show's over.
Yeah, I've had people, you know, like, say you're going to a city and they, you know, you're doing a print interview or whatever, you know, and some people ask me, you know, are you friends with David Letterman? And I think I'm being so ridiculously absurd that they're going to realize I'm joking. And I'll say, well, I always like to get to New York City a couple days early because Dave Letterman likes to meet me out in Central Park because he likes to fly kites, and we fly kites together. You know, thinking, how would anyone? And some people go, "Oh wow, I didn't realize he was into kites." And you go, "Oh geez, now I got to correct this." You know, I was joking about the kites. You know, we don't really fly kites together.
Brian's entire life is just one uncomfortable situation sewed in with the next uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, even an absurd joke like that, and then I feel weird that they didn't get it, and I apologize for telling it.
So Saturday night, it's Radio City Music Hall, and at the time that the people in Radio City Music Hall. By the way, this would be mind-blowing that a comic who came to New York as a young man and waited in line to pass at all these different comedy clubs. If you would have said back then, oh, my dream is to one day play Radio City Music Hall, everyone would have thought you were insane.
Yeah.
It's that far away. But while that's happening, beamed out on the satellite and everybody can see it on Comedy Central. It's pretty amazing.
I'm really thrilled with this. In fact, I kind of pitched it to Comedy Central because I've done a couple of 1-hour specials for Comedy Central in the past, and those were fun. And this time around, I wanted to do something a little bit different. And they've been incredibly fantastic. They've been in my corner, and really looking forward to it.
Well, I think that's going to be cool. Now, when you first came to New York in the 80s, what was the first club that you passed? What was the first club that you started to have regular spots at?
It was hard at first. I started at the Comic Strip Comedy Club in Fort Lauderdale, and then when I moved to New York, I auditioned at the Comic Strip in New York and didn't get in right away, and then I auditioned, at the Improv and didn't get in right away. I was getting rejected, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that that's kind of the nature of the beast. The first club I remember getting into was called Comedy U Grand. I think that's the name of it, down in the Village. And you know who? And a guy I met down there who ended up, I think he ended up being successul. Ray Romano.
Yeah, Ray Romano.
Some success.
He did something. I can't remember what it was.
He wrote a book or something. No, he was the other comedian he was a guy that I met at Comedy U Grand, and we both had not yet gotten into the improv and stuff like that. So, anyway, that was the first club I got into.
Well, I see Joe Bolster with you today. When did you first run? It was the same period that you met?
Actually, I met Joe Bolster at the Comic Strip in Fort Lauderdale.
Is
he
that
was
right?
one of the
Even
headliners.
before?
Yeah. When I was, I worked down there like cooking in the kitchen and taking the trash out and stuff like that. And then they would let me go on at the end of the show. Joe Bolster was one of the headliners that came down from New York that I was able to watch. I was able to watch all these good comedians.
Legendary comic. And as far as I've never heard anyone say, oh, I saw Joe Bolster have a bad set. It's just never happened as far as I know.
Oh, very, very funny. He works with me quite a bit. I've got a handful of people that I like to work with out on the road, and Joe is one of them, and he's actually going to be opening at Radio City.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
That's really fun. So what is it about Joe that you feel like you want to, he's a guy that you can trust, or in terms of being with your audience, or how does that work?
Yeah, he's a pro, and, he gets on stage, and, if the crowd isn't settled in or whatever, he doesn't do the humana.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? He gets the job done in all instances. I've done corporate shows with him where it's been, disastrous. He followed the worst intro that we have ever seen. Some guy from the company, it's supposed to be me headlining, and Joe is going to go on before me. So a guy from the company gets on stage and just reads my bio, like holding it. Brian Regan started, and with no inflection on any word. Brian Regan started his comedy at Comic Strip in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And so he reads this for like 3 minutes to an audience that is completely not paying attention. He finished reading and he goes, "Now let's get started with your support act." Didn't even say his name. Now let's get started with your support act.
Yeah.
And then Joe and I look at each other. We just start laughing, and he's got to walk out to just a room full of people scratching their heads and looking the wrong way. And then he went out there and got laughs, man.
Yeah.
I would have panicked.
Well, those corporate gigs always pay well, and then are never what the funnest thing that you're ever going to do.
I don't, listen, I can have good ones, and then I can have ones that aren't so good. And I feel like I want to tell my manager, you can book them, but don't tell me about them until the morning I have to do them. I want to be like a firefighter that's sliding down a pole to go do my corporate gig. I don't want to be thinking about it ahead of time. I'll have one day of agony. That's it.
You're the dog going to the vet. You think
Get in the car, boy.
Yeah, right. Tell me I'm going to a surprise party.
He doesn't know yet.
Wait a minute, this isn't the turn.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Brian Regan doing Radio City Music Hall. It's actually almost right across the street from us here, but there's only a handful of buildings in America that are truly historically famous for show business. And when you walk out on a stage like that, where you know people like Martin Lewis and Gleason, I mean, it's pretty ridiculous when you start to think about it that way.
I'm wondering if I'm going to get on stage and I'll hear somebody in the audience go, "This is the guy we saw at Comedy U Grand." It's pretty cool. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to play venues where, you go, wow, I saw such and such on TV. Right. I've been able to do Red Rocks out in Denver.
Amazing. Yeah.
And that's where U2 shot their famous, video.
Sunday Bloody Sunday.
Exactly.
Thing, yeah.
And to actually be able to stand on that stage and, it's just a beautiful place, and to have enough people come out and enjoy the show is pretty fascinating.
So you can get pretty sentimental about those kind of venues, yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be a big venue, a small venue. Every single night when I'm standing backstage, I think to myself, I'm the luckiest guy alive.
Yeah.
You hear the murmur of the crowd, and it's like, man, these people are coming out to hear these silly, goofy things I come up with. And, how fun is that?
It is pretty interesting. I mean, there's very few dreams actually come true for people from when they're a young person, and most of the time when you're a young person, you have dreams. Most of those dreams, whether they suddenly become, you're not able to do it, like a baseball player or a football player. That's the stuff that really must get to people. Like, I got really good at this, and then I had to leave it at 31, 32 years old. But the thing about comedy is it's just like golf. You can keep going at it for a long, long time.
I always wonder about the ones where the timetable is so ridiculously young, like these gymnasts and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, she's never going to make it. She's 12.
Yeah.
You have to peak when you're 10 or 11,
right.
know? And that is one cool thing about being a comedian is you can just keep kind of going at it, and you never know when it might click for you. I've got friends who are athletes, great athletes, and, some had more involved with their careers than others, but by the time they're in their late 20s, that part of their life is over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there is no kind of comedy coaching where you just move into coaching and you start talking to young comics.
I actually tried out for a semi-pro football team.
Is that right?
Yeah, I played football in college, and then right before the comedy thing started, a friend of mine who was a great football player tried out for a semi-pro team in Orlando, and he said, "You should go up there and try out." I'm like, I can't do this. He goes, "I'm telling you, you might be able to make the team." So I go up to this big mass tryout, and I got past that. They invited me to camp. They brought me into camp, the Orlando Americans, and there was the American Football Association. And I'm like, I'm trying out for this team. They brought 9 receivers in. They're going to cut down to a total of 3. And they let 4 go. I'm down to the 5, and they're going to keep 3. And I'm thinking, I might get on this team. And then all of a sudden, this coach knocked on the door in the afternoon. We all stayed in these condos. And this got to be the hardest job in the world. He had to go around telling you that you were done.
Yeah.
What kind of coaching assignment is that? And he knocked on the door, and I opened the door, and he's like, "Hey," I knew right away what was going on. He's like, "Hey, Brian, how you doing?" He just came in and he sat down. "How you doing, Brian?" I said, "I'm doing all right." And he goes, yeah. Well, I just came by to give you the word." And I knew what he meant by that. And I said, I'm not going to make it hard on him. I said, "I get it, coach. I just appreciate the opportunity." But when I look back on it, I thought I should have just ran to the phone right when he said that and called my mom and dad. "I'm on the team. He's right. He just gave me the word. He's right here. Do you want to talk to him? He just gave it to me. He's sitting right here."
I would have kept that kid on the team. I would have said, "Okay."
How could you not?
Yeah, what are you going to do after that? "Mom, you can get that operation."
I follow a semi-pro football team, the Philadelphia Eagles. And isn't it the oddest thing that a team can hurt? As much as I was hurt by these strangers yesterday, that I allowed that loss to affect me.
You know, I'm a Dolphin fan, but
Yeah.
I've always tried to be careful not to let it get into my soul.
Right.
I remember working at the comic strip in Fort Lauderdale, and John Manfrotati, very, very funny comedian.
Unbelievably funny.
Very funny guy. And, interesting character, just a good comedian, a good actor. And he walked into the club one Sunday night, just all angry. And I was like, man, John, what's the matter? He goes, the Jets lost. You go, damn. What does that have to do with your soul? You know?
Yeah.
So anyway,
I give it that one time during the game, and then I drop it after that. Like, I'm free now for the rest of the season. After what they did to me yesterday, I'm free from that. It's an X for this season. If people even bring their name up, I'll be like, oh, that's really weird that you would say that would be here.
I remember following the Dolphins one season, and they were able to get to the playoffs. And
Every year with Marino.
I forget.
Yeah.
This was a while ago, and they get into the playoffs. They get into that first game, and they lose, and it's just the weirdest, sickest feeling. You go, I've been following them for 16 regular season games, and I'm all excited, and now they lose, and you just, what do you do?
It's the old Yeller moment where you just like, I did not see this coming. I should have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I should have seen it coming. It was a bit. You know, why didn't this? How could this happen?
It's shocking how quickly you get into magical thinking with sports.
Oh, absolutely.
Where you're like, this affects this.
If I move my hat, that hat belongs on the TV. Well, you know, the Dolphins are. It's amazing. They went undefeated in 1972, and if you go to Miami today, those guys are still opening Radio Shacks and supermarkets. The same guys are telling that story. But if they had one loss, that would have been, you know, they would just get together every once in a while. But that one undefeated season has kept all those guys doing gigs.
Garrow, you remember Garrow Upremian, the kicker? He had a window tinting business right down the road from where I live. It's so weird. You drive by and there's Garrow Upremian. He's just sitting there tinting windows. But I don't know how often he actually did the work, but
it's actually, you know,
a lot just his name on the thing. But.
A lot of people up north don't know what an important job that is in Florida. Everyone needs that done when you live in Florida, because you could get third-degree burns sitting on a car seat without it happening.
He made $200,000 as an NFL player, and he made $6 million tinting windows.
Talking about that same bad tackle that he attempted. Brian Regan is in with us all weekend long. We're running the Unmasked, which, if you're just joining us, was spectacular. Brian was really, really funny and interesting. And then at the end of the show, we come out with a bunch of great comics who were there to see Brian. We passed the mic around, and I'm talking about really established people, Gary Goldman and Tammy Pescatelli, and the Joe List was there, and the list goes on and on. And for me to know Brian as long as I have, and to see those guys just thinking this is a great day, I get to ask Brian a single question. It was one of the cooler things I've ever been involved with.
That's very, very kind of you, man.
Yeah.
And I've talked with people since that interview, and it's like you're the one who makes the interview, man. You're very good. You're conversational. You know when someone's heading towards a bit. You know when to back off, and not everybody knows that. I was doing a radio interview one time, and I used to have this bit about feeling like an idiot at and the bit was I felt like an idiot today. I went to the Burger King drive-thru. I ordered a cheeseburger. And the guy through the intercom said, drive around. So I drove around for a half hour. Right, that's the bit. So I'm doing a radio show down in the South, and it's like this country kind of guy. And I said, he goes, what's going on? I said, well, felt like an idiot today. I went to the Burger King drive-thru. I ordered a cheeseburger. And the guy said, drive around. And he went, ha, ha. We'll be back after this. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
That's going to sell some tickets.
So this was an interview that you did up north somewhere, I guess. Huh? We'll be back after this. They get less and less time on radio all the time now. It's tightened up so long since I worked in terrestrial, but you only get minutes in between the commercials these days. It's really it's a tougher gig every single year.
I got scared off a joke from a radio host years ago. It was when the Miami Heat just first started down in Miami, basketball team. And I go into this studio, and the guy says, we got Brian Regan here. He's performing at such and such club. How you doing, Brian? And I said, I'm doing pretty good. We got the Miami Heat just getting started. And I said, I'd like to own a second NBA team down there in Miami. And he goes, oh, yeah? And I said, yeah. Just to do the press conferences, when they say, well, what's the name of your team? And then I would say, well, it's not the heat, it's the humidity. And the guy just stared at me and said, well, folks, if that's the kind of stuff you're into, why don't you go check out Brian this weekend? Thanks for coming in, Brian. He dismissed me. And I walked out going, man, I better rethink the heat humidity joke.
Yeah.
I was afraid to do it for like years, and I finally threw it in, and it's like, it gets an okay laugh.
Yeah.
Better than from him.
Yeah. I think it's amazing, though. Wow. We're in trouble. Brian Regan tanking on my show. I don't want him to take me down with him.
I got to let this guy go.
I just want to say to my audience, I apologize for having Brian Regan in here today. It is this Saturday night, 9:00 on Comedy Central. Brian Regan at the Radio City Music Hall. If you're here in New York City, this is going to be, it'll be better than the Pope show. But anybody in the country can see this while it's happening on Comedy Central, 9:00, September 28th, Saturday. And Brian, I appreciate you coming in.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And I'm going to ask you for a favor. Get Joe Bolster to stop in here sometime. I want to talk to him and hear all his stories still.
Yeah, my brother Dennis is out here.
I didn't see Dennis there.
Dennis Regan, my brother came along as well, and he's we're just palling around this week.
I remember, when we did the Unmasked, we went looking for Dennis, but there was a bar in the other room. we didn't stand a chance.
I wonder where Denny is. He's out nursing a cocktail.
Yeah. He actually said that he had such a great time because he asked for a single and they gave him a double. And I'm not making that up.
He said that it was his favorite moment of the interview.
That's part of the entire day. So, let's get Dennis to stop in here as well. I didn't see him back there. All right, buddy. Take care.
Absolutely, Ron. Thank you.
And I'll see you soon. Bridget, all you have to do is show up. One of our all-time favorites.
She's the best.
Bridget, the Amy does stuff on the Amy Schumer show.
Yep.
The Amy Schumer show, a big winner on the variety side, as predicted by who?
You, my friend.
We have the producer of the show in, and I said to him, "You're a lock. You are a lock, my friend." He goes, "Oh, we're up against all the big shows." You're a lock. Relax. You got it.
You are so right.
Kurt Metzger, there he is celebrating his Emmy win.
Look like a baller.
With some vape. Very, he's the type of guy that looks great in a run-it tux. There's no doubt about that. He has the build for it. But congratulations to Kurt. And I was seeing all of his friends just sending him horrific messages on Twitter last night. But God damn it, that they're all happy for him. It's funny to see him there with an Emmy.
It looks great on him.
Yeah.
It's a good look.
You can check out his show on Opie Radio every week. Race Wars.
Tuesdays, 9 p.m.
Tuesdays. Well, Chris, you're wrong. They moved Sam to 9 p.m.
7 p.m.
You keep saying that over and over and over when we know Sam is there at night. Even though Sam is here in the daytime as much as ever before.
He's everywhere.
Yeah. Chris even said in a nice Sam story yesterday about McConaughey's brother naming his kid Miller Lite. And I only know that because people tweeted in, this is from August. But I guess if TMZ gets it right, we jump on the bandwagon. But see, there you are promoting the Sam, getting his name out there, and forgetting he's in every night now. There's no race wars. 9 p.m. It is the Bennington Show. Ron Bennington, Gail Bennington, Joey Jojo Bennington.
Sips.
Joey had cut a Brian Regan song that didn't make the thing. Why was that, Chris?
Did not air.
Wasn't up to snuff to his former songs.
I'm surprised to hear that. You thought it would have turned off Brian?
Yeah, so it was pulled. It was pulled.
What song was it?
It was Blister. It was to the tune of "Blister in the Sun."
I don't think of Brian Regan as a violent femmes guy, but
the sound doesn't really go hand in hand there. With
I don't see him as an alt rock guy, but I would love to take a listen to this.
Okay.
This is kind of as they used to say on the CDs. This is extras that you get when you buy the DVD.
It's a B-side.
This is a little bit of the extras that you get, and we'll see what happened. What did not make the cut? Not that it wasn't brilliant. It's just that maybe it was for time, or you didn't think it set the right tone.
Not at all.
Okay, let me take a listen.
When Brian's talking, he struts the stuff. Yeah, he's so funny. Set up so clean and punchlines so keen. He has great stories. Brian Regan is coming into studio. Brian Regan, the funniest man we know. Pop-Tarts and ballet, the crowd's laughing, and we all know why. Brian Regan is performing on Comedy Central Live. Brian Regan is coming into studio. Brian Regan, the funniest man we know.
Well, first of all, I will disagree with you by saying it's a spot-on great song, Chris. But I see what you're doing, but the lyrics are a little on the nose.
They are a little on the nose, although I will say rhyming Regan with performin'.
Yeah.
That I liked. That was probably the strongest moment.
It was like sitting next to Gail, and there he is, putting his headphones on. He talks in the mic. Oh, I put down the AC because that seat gets cold. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like there wasn't a lot of thought. Sure. Took the elevator to the 36th floor.
It was no Kurt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And like Kurt was like, I never liked the 9-inch. I never liked the cash version of that. First of all, Kurt, I know you're a contrarian. I get it. You're vaping at the Emmy Awards, but
he's pretty cool.
You're a rebel. There's no doubt about it. But everyone likes the Johnny Cash version.
Come on, you got to just admit it. It's a great version of the goddamn song.
I killed myself today. That one was less on the nose.
Yeah, that was wild. That was fun.
Yeah. Because it's race wars. They were on 9 p.m. They've moved to 7 now. Here comes Sir Rod Small. Okay, dude.
Relax.
He's not that Reynolds Burt. That's the entire deal. You can't be too on the nose. I think that's the only thing that held you back, Joey.
Okay.
That and the pocket that you have on that shirt.
Yeah, that's the dad shirt.
What kind of shirt is that considered? Does that have an actual name?
It's a polo shirt, but it's
a polo shirt never comes with a pocket.
Oh, it doesn't? I
don't
thought a
think
polo
so.
has a pocket.
Particularly when the pocket is a different color and not even necessarily a matching color.
In fact, the back panel is also a different color.
Let me see.
So that's going on.
Oh, and that matches the pocket.
Did you make that shirt yourself?
I made it myself.
It also looks like a vest that you're wearing a gray T-shirt under.
It's
Yeah.
a ringer tee at that.
Okay.
There's also
Ringer tee. No, that's not a bowling shirt. A bowling shirt all the way down,
that's
right?
a button all the
That's
way.
all the way down.
Pretty sure. Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't have a pullover shirt.
No, if there was, I'd quit that team. Look, if you guys aren't going to be serious this year, there is a high school football video up on the iBang today that's just tremendous. It's a kid smearing icy hot all over another kid's face during the play, and apparently he just lathered up his hands with icy hot. Figured to himself, I'm not going to make the tackle. I'll wait until after the play is over and then rub icy hot on the face of another player.
This is not sportsmanlike.
And, did not get, we've always heard the thing, the kid in school would have like a tack in his tape, and when they were in a pile, he would, just rub some, but no one's going to know who did that.
Yeah.
But when you have the icy hot all over your hand, you're asking for a 1-year suspension. All right, let's just take a look at this video. It's tremendous.
It's buffering.
Yeah, it's buffering. Why I'm saying that, I just want to thank Brian Regan again for the kind words he said about a mess. I don't know how to react when someone gives me a compliment. I just act like I don't hear it.
Yeah.
I just act
moving
like,
on from that.
Shut down. This is going to be edited out of the best stuff. You've said something that everyone realizes is a lie right now.
It was very sweet. He's a great guy.
Well, he's a great guy, but that was also a simply it was a great time at Unmasked. There was a great feeling about it all.
That was a blast.
You get to see the many sides of Mr. Brian Regan. Choked up Brian Regan, angry Brian Regan. He tells us once where he lost his temper, which no one thinks of Brian Regan that way.
Hard to imagine.
I can't imagine him throwing the mic down. The sound in this place blows. If you can't police the audience, you can't have me here. By the way, Joe Bolster, who was with him, one of the all-time great comedians for 30 years, at least. 30 years headliner. And, to be able to take Joe out on the road and then follow him goes to show you how great Brian is. All right, let's just take a quick look at this video. High school football going through a lot of shit these days.
Constantly, every day.
And you're not even doing a good job of hiding it. You could just see the kid standing above him, rubbing his face with icy hot. This is after the referees were attacked the other day.
Just laid out.
And then, anytime you hear the broken neck. Look, I'm going to bring this up about football. And football is America's sport, whether we like it or not. But, it doesn't necessarily belong in high school. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason that you should have a violent sport to play after school. It's only because it's a tradition, but there would be nothing wrong with any town in Texas having a team that had nothing to do with the high school. Like the kids are done school at 3 o'clock and then they go and play for a rec league of their own. There's no reason that our principal should be thinking about this. You know what I mean? Or school
having it
board.
affect academics in any way.
Yes. Like, I'm sorry. This kid can't do his SATs. He's a guard, and we need him to learn how to pool. And by the way, his neck broke yesterday. So what's the school going to do about that? I mean, for the insurance alone, I'm shocked that schools handle this sport.
Yeah, they were supposed to be in charge of taking care of the kids during the course of the day instead of ripping out ACLs.
And if you don't think that it's an incredibly violent sport, look what just happened with the Dallas Cowboys. They lose their two biggest offensive weapons, guys that are in great shape, and that helps you very little when something is smashing into you. You would think, I'll be in such great shape that I'll be safe from broken collarbones and feet. Yeah. But no, that has nothing. An ACL can blow out on the best athlete in the world.
Well, it's a crazy amount of like non-contact injuries too. The cornerback on the Jets just was running a route and then fell, and then bam, sprained knee.
Are you saying that when you're running as fast as you can, and then you cut in the opposite direction, you're surprised that tendons rip? No,
I can't
no
even
doctors.
do that at a slow pace.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull something.
Right. If Chris had to take the steps here, and I mean down, not even up, but if Chris had to take the steps down, I bet he doesn't come to work for the rest of the week.
I'm done. I'm blown up.
We thought you were dead the other day. Friday.
Apparently, I look terrible. I just look fucking horrible.
You were telling us, and you were moaning. I want to tell you something that's happening tonight here on Sirius XM, and there's quite the buzz about it. I have a couple of favorite stations, and one is definitely Outlaw Country. I would go so far. I'm not sure that we have a station that's run better than Outlaw Country.
Yeah, they're fantastic. You turned me on to them, and they're great.
Well, they're great, and they're the type of station that if they introduce you to a new recording artist that you haven't heard before, that you're like, I'm going to give them the trust that this guy is going to be worth checking out. And then there's always like a lot of classic stuff. They move rock into it. It's just Jeremy does such a great job with that. Tonight, Bob Seger interviewing Don Henley, which, if you would have told me when I was younger, things like that would happen on radio, I wouldn't have believed it. Yeah. But Don Henley has this country album coming out. There's always a thing with the country folks where they said, if the Eagles were around today, they'd be on a country station. So they take a lot of love to that. And then Bob Seger, who was one of America's greatest songwriters. So Zito went out and did this somewhere in Austin.
Yeah.
He was part of it and told me that it was pretty extraordinary.
The Moody Theater in Austin, Texas.
Is that right?
Yeah. It's on at 8 p.m. tonight, Outlaw Country, Channel 60.
It's great. What other stations do you listen to? I'm a big Deep Tracks guy.
Yeah, I like the Deep Tracks.
Here's what happens to me with Deep Tracks. I always go like this. Oh, really deep? Because I know this track. And I feel...
You feel very good about yourself.
Yeah, I always feel very good. And then I'll explain what album it's off of.
All in.
Yeah.
I just want you to know this isn't as deep as you may think. Or perhaps I'm deeper than you thought. Who is this?
Who is this? And why do you think we're on different sides of this? It's not a contest.
This is Ron Bennington.
I'm going to play a tape where Brian Regan said some nice things about me. Maybe you've heard of him. He's very deep. And then also... I will go to the 80s channel just to hear Martha Quinn's sunny voice.
Yeah, I've done that
always,
as well, yeah.
Always happy with Martha Quinn. Always, I'm like, that's a good day. Well, there's a lot of good. First of all, I like any road trips because you can really get into, listening like a listener. There's a big difference between, in the way that you listen to music. Road music to me is totally different experience than listening to music at home.
Yeah, I think because your mind is in a different place.
Yeah, and you're just like you think to yourself, "This is a great road song. I'm on the road with this song. I'm somehow better than my old life, right. Going and working and stuff.
Too still.
Yeah, that's life is still. I'm done with it. I'm just going to be a road guy. There's a video up on the iBang of Patti LaBelle losing her shit at a guy who took his shirt off. Was this one of your stands or a Joey Joe?
It was Joey Joe.
Joey Joe just fucking killing it lately. I mean, the songs, the catchphrases,
bullshit catchphrases,
the miscolored pocket, everything about that kid works.
He's the horse sense of the guy.
Yeah, it is. It's the straight horse sense. That's a good point. If I had a nickname for him, it would be Boy BL.
Thanks.
Yeah. So what is this story all about?
So Patti LaBelle was at a concert. A fan tries to come up on stage, and she just loses her shit on him.
Well, she invites a guy on stage, and then he undoes his shirt, and she actually hits him. She physically hits him.
Very out of character.
I don't know, because she says, I've done it before. So that makes me feel like it's very much her character. And it's a very sexy This was from the disco era. I mean, to be totally honest, Patty, and I know that you're a religious person, but people have had anal sex to this song. Males would use this as an anal sex song, so you shouldn't be shocked. Just play a little bit of it.
Don't you dare, not on my stage. No, baby.
Now watch this.
Let me say something. Did I say, I'm good, E, I got this. I got this. Did I say I was 71 years young, right? I am not Nicki Minaj or that little Molly. Oh, no. Get off of my goddamn stage, bitch.
She gives him a forearm.
Put him out of the building. Put him out. How dare you? I'm sorry I didn't let my security do what he felt he had to do earlier. I believe in giving second and third and fourth chances because I always say sometimes we know not what we do. Just so rude, a rude American or whoever he is, whatever he is, don't ever come in my face again. Next. Okay, honey girl, your turn. Can you sing? Okay, you're so beautiful. I need somebody to bring some peace up in here. You know the devil is busy.
The devil. He literally was the devil now. A guy who had his shirt open in a hot club. I get that you're 71, but you're taking this too far.
I like that Patty doesn't want to say damn, but she'll say, gosh darn bitch.
Right.
Darn bitch.
Well, it's not blasphemy when you say bitch.
No.
Did you watch the Emmys? The woman who produces transgender said, I want to thank Goddess for this award. And you just heard it lay there, even in L.A.
Oh, God.
And by the way, I loved her. I don't know her name, but she was wearing a suit. And I'm always a big fan of a woman in a suit.
It's a great look.
You know, of all the Emmy Awards, they only went out to like 4 shows, and the 4 shows swept. Veep did incredibly well. Jon Stewart, Amy, the transgender show, which is called what?
Transparent.
Transparent. Yeah. And then for the dramas, it was
Game of Thrones one big.
Game of Thrones was
crushed.
Yeah, it was just gigantic.
Like record breaking, right? I mean,
I was most proud of this when he said to HBO, thank you for believing in dragons, because I have never watched the show because I can't believe in a dragon, and people yell at me, the dragons are barely on there, and here's the producer of the show who validated me.
Yes,
well, that's the hook.
It's a dragon show.
They're on the show
Stop
sometimes.
dragging my show around.
Jill Soloway is the creator of Transparent.
I thought that she was great on there, and I love that. She kind of wore like a Joker's suit.
Yeah. On polka dots.
I remember at my senior prom, the very hot, I'll just say her first name, Jerry Ann, wore a tuxedo and had a Bowie haircut. Stole the night. Stole the night.
Big time. That's a bold look.
Yeah.
And it pays off very big.
Well, T.O. girl, what are you going to do? Ben Carson became my new favorite person, maybe even over Trump, when he said that on Meet the Press, no Muslim should ever be president because they couldn't follow our Constitution. Here's the thing, Ben. First of all, there's no Muslim. Just let the electorate take care of that. Just be like, hey, it's up to the people. And 8 lifetimes will take before we get a Muslim.
You just have to start laying down official bans.
Yeah, nobody needs you to do that. Just let people vote. You know, even a lot of liberal people like, I don't know, 9/11. I guess. But why say it?
Yeah, why put yourself out there as the one person who put it into words?
Nobody else even thought of it. Racists never even thought of this.
Is there a Muslim on the coming up in the political game?
Yeah.
No.
He's just like, For the record, I just wanted to be clear.
I bet people could get behind this statement. I'm gonna.
Hey.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, do you think that was like an Obama thing since they say Obama was a Muslim?
Probably. I mean, that might have played into it.
I wouldn't even have brought it up. I wouldn't even have mentioned it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The world will do your bidding for you. Just drop it.
We don't need any of their That's like saying, I don't think a convicted rapist should be president of the United States, and I'll tell you why. You don't need to. Just let him run.
Number one, he forced himself on a woman.
Yeah. How do we know it's not going to happen again? There's another thing. It's a violent crime. It's not a sexual crime. It's a violent crime.
We know he can't control himself.
You don't need to do it, Dr. Ben. You don't need to say it. No one's going to vote that way. I don't think any jihadists should be the president. Does that make me a madman? When I say Muslims, I mean Indians too, not just the Middle East people. Indians and Native Americans. They scare me.
Why not? Throw them in there.
Yeah. I mean, if they're not, why do they have Indian in their name?
Think about it.
Woo! Just fucking going crazy on a Sunday morning. So I guess Trump is holding strong, even though no one thought he did all that great in the debate. He's holding on. But who's moved up the most? The young lady who runs.
Yeah, the
what's her name?
Fiorina,
yeah. Carly.
I'm just going to call her LaGuardia.
That's
and
fine.
get that out there.
It's a cooler name, to be honest.
I guess it's LaGuardia, mainly because she read the funny papers during a paper strike in New York. I think that was LaGuardia that did that.
Yeah.
Whoever it was, for some reason, people thought it was the greatest thing that's ever happened.
He's keeping the city together.
Yeah. Kids gather around. I'm going to read you Nancy and Sluggo. That's coming up in just a couple of minutes here. A lot of the young ladies of comedy looking just stunning. Pictures up on the iBang today. And look at that. Just really, really beautiful. Everybody likes to get dressed up for these Emmys.
They sure do.
Yeah. I think people enjoy the Emmys more than they enjoy I mean, you'd rather have an Oscar than an Emmy.
Yeah, but there's less tension, I think, with an Emmy.
Right.
Like,
But here's what would bother me. Like, if you won an Emmy, right? And you went out to Iowa to do an afternoon talk show, that person could say to you, oh, I've won 12 Emmys. And you have to stop them and go, local Emmy. You know what I mean? I wish there was a different name for local Emmy.
There really should be.
Because it's not fucking fair. The smaller your market, the better chance you have of winning an Emmy.
And the statue's the same. Like it's
exactly the same.
That's the bullshit.
It shouldn't even have the same name.
Local Emmys should be at most half the size of a regular Emmy.
I like what you're saying there.
Right? So it's just like, okay.
But you're right. It also should be called like a Lemmy for a local Emmy.
And that's cute, too.
I mean, you can't win a local Oscar.
Bullshit.
That would be fucking ridiculous. An Oscar's impressive because it's a very difficult thing to get.
Yeah, it's huge. Doesn't have this, everyone gets an Emmy.
Right.
You get an Emmy.
You get an Emmy.
Everyone gets Emmys. Well, now it's not as important, is it? They seem to have more fun in the Emmys.
I wish somebody would have brought that up. Yeah, because you don't care about it.
I mean, did you see John Hamm crawl up on stage and then give a really somber, weird speech? He's off the rails.
He just got out of rehab. He's doing fine.
No, he broke up with his girlfriend 18 years or something.
Well, you're going to do that when you get out of rehab. You realize what a drunken mistake you made.
Got it.
Olive Kidridge won for everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is probably because it's better than most of the movies that came out of Hollywood last year. Hey, Becky in PA.
Yeah, you were talking about Dr. Carson. I don't think he just voluntarily, spontaneously said that he didn't think a Muslim should be president. If you listen to the interview, I believe
I didn't.
specifically asked the question.
Becky, you have to understand this. I didn't listen to a second of it. I barely saw the headline and started cracking up. But I'm trying even not to, I found myself burning out on Trump, and I'm like, it's too early. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear him go this shit again. I'm trying to give myself a little time. But yes, most of the time, no matter who it is, they get backed into some kind of. I even said the other day, I thought the debate, just the idea of a debate, has nothing to do with being the leader of a free world.
I think most of them do get backed into it, except for Trump. He just leads the charge on whatever
He'll
crazy
bring it
thing.
Like Trump would be like this. Oh, you know who's ugly? And I mean, really, a two-bagger is Carly. I doubt her own husband porks her. I doubt it. If anything, he's probably thinking about somebody else. He probably only bang her if he has porn on. Next question. But yes, you're simply correct, Becky, that we didn't look into it all. We just found the line funny, and off we went. I'm trying to stay away from Meet the Press until next year.
I know. It's
too much.
We have a long way to go, especially with all the silliness and shenanigans we've already experienced.
Look, you know I'm over the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm not talking about them or caring about them.
Doesn't matter.
But the entire summer, I heard about how they were going to dominate, down to the point where I picked my Super Bowl as home team Eagles would be playing away team Eagles.
Yes.
Because I believed. And I couldn't even get into my mailbox because everybody sent me, because some fucking ham and an egg on ESPN picked them, that my life was complete and done and I had already won the Super Bowl.
Am Schefter.
I was going to be vaping with my Super Bowl trophy. I don't know if all the fans get one. I assume it's been 50 years. I never got we never won a Super Bowl. So I assume everyone who's a fan, whether you buy tickets to the games or not.
At least anybody who picks them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm willing to pay for my Super Bowl trophy.
Oh, yeah. They're not going to give it for free, but.
What is it, about 40?
Yeah. I
don't want to spend more than 40. I got to figure out even a place to put it.
I think you can, it's 40 and 50 if you want it engraved.
Oh, I want it engraved. That's worth the extra $10 to me. It's simply worth the extra $10. But I was watching, I was so busy last night. I'm watching Big Brother, the Emmys, and the football game all at the same time. I'm really like David Bowie and the Man Who Fell to Earth. I'm watching everything at once.
You've got it all.
That's the future. You just line up TVs and you watch them all at the same time. That's the funny thing about Man Who Fell to Earth. If you thought an alien came here, maybe you would have invented a computer and not just a better hi-fi system, the way you had set up in that movie.
Stacked televisions.
Yeah, he stacked television and really great sounding albums. Didn't even fucking invent a CD. A lot of people wrote to me about Colin Hanks and their memories of what I considered a superstore. You know?
Yes.
And if you remember from that, remember the movie that came out about a record store?
Empire Records.
I think they were making fun of the fact that a Tower Records was coming into town.
Yes. That they don't call it Tower, but that's what it kind of made it look like, as Tower was going to take over their store.
They were afraid to say Tower because Tower had that much. You know, one of the things in that movie that was amazing to me is they said, like, in the year 2000, Tower Records grossed $1 billion. And in 2005, they filed for bankruptcy. That's how quickly Napster
burst.
And the lack of, you know, rock and roll dying.
Yeah.
I believe that rock and roll would never die because it was in enough songs that it wouldn't. They said rock and roll will never die enough that I didn't even say, well, maybe a new kind of music could come along.
No, they promised us.
We couldn't have imagined that a music that would come along that would be better than rock and roll. And we were right, but that still didn't mean that a generation didn't pick the music that was worse than rock and roll. You've got rhyming, bragging, and then whatever industrial noise, that electronic dance, which even a person like you, a hip hop guy, Chris.
Oh yeah, big time.
You're thrown off by EDM.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand why it's. Most of the songs sound the same to me, and it's just waiting for a drop.
Isn't that what your dad told you about your music?
When you
started listening to rockabilly back in '61.
We got into it over that.
Sure. Well, he's like, none of these people will ever be Tony Bennett.
This is just noise to me.
Things change. I always like to say the more things change, you know. I don't know why I never thought of a second part for that. I should have. That's where I fucked up. More things change, the more different they are, I guess.
That's good.
Yeah.
That gets it across.
In its own way, yeah, it does. Pope's here for a hoagie. What else can you get on that? You want Parmesan or American cheese? Okay.
Gotta go Parmesan.
Pope, you want a turkey shorty?
How many shorties you want? Because these are smaller than you think. You might want to eat a couple. Put one in your blessed robes and have it for later. Can I get you a host with that? Nice host, some wine.
Something to drink, or you already got your holy water?
If I was giving a Pope a bite of my sandwich, I'd go like this as soon as he was biting. Body of Christ. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. It's not. It's just a shorty.
It's just a turkey shorty.
You want a turkey shorty? You want chicken? What do you want, Pope? Hurry up. Let's go. Got a long line here. Everybody wants to eat. BL's down in Philly now. I forgot what she was doing, getting a gravestone, I think, for her 100-year-old husband.
Benny, you know I spent 7 years with my 100-year-old husband. Now my roots is all dried up. Benny, if you taught me anything...
I didn't teach you anything, BL.
Benny, you always said in the 29 years we worked together...
None of that's true. Not one part's true.
Benny, you remember when I was your phone screener for 19 years?
You weren't. You weren't, BL. Everything you're saying is a lie.
We built that stadium together, Benny. You remember.
Never
back when everyone was jacking off on my face and...
It's not true, BL. You know it's not true.
Benny, you remember. Okay, I'm crazy then, Benny.
I miss her.
Do you really?
Don't you miss old BL?
She'll be back in... She's threatening to move here.
She's been doing that for a while, though, right?
Yeah, but she's going to be out of her place soon. And that'll be a hell nobody could understand. That's almost like if a hurricane came into your town and stayed there. Just stayed over top of your town. Oh, look, there's... is that TV Fez?
Yeah, that is.
Wilder Valderrama.
That's the original Fez.
Yeah.
The Fez stole his name from. What's his real name?
Wilmer Valderrama.
Wow. No one's name could be named that.
That's some bullshit right
Fez
there.
is easier.
You had that right in the pocket, though.
By the way, that
right
guy
in this colored
gets
pocket.
all the famous young girls. He's a notorious serial dater. And I wouldn't think of it by looking at him.
I suppose he's handsome, well-dressed. Makes sense.
I guess. Oh, I mean, didn't he play like half an idiot on TV all those years,
He
though?
sure did.
Yeah. I never saw the show, but I love the Cheap Trick cover to do it. Hanging out.
He was just like foreign, and they treated him like an idiot on the show.
Well, people born in other countries are stupid. I mean, we do know that.
Good point.
We know that from Einstein.
Right.
That idiot, that moron. So that was Fez.
That was him.
Now, we offered him and didn't take him.
Yeah.
We don't take a lot of people, huh?
No.
Then I see that I'm like, oh, I'd like to have him come in here right now. And you're like,
Be
you
nice
said
to have
no. Everything sounds bad to me.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
Chris, why did we get them?
Yeah. I only don't want the people that I did say yes to.
Confusing.
Why is he here?
Benny.
You actually use words with her. I've given up. I've moved past the fact
She
that I
does
even
go
understand.
into baby talk a little bit.
It's not too uncomfortable. Crazy BL.
Speaking.
Nutty as shit. We're big fans of a little TV show called Black Mirror. There was a storyline that had a Prime Minister of England fucking a pig. Apparently, the current Prime Minister, David Cameron, did in fact have his dick in a pig mouth.
Oh my God.
And not just to help someone from being murdered. He did it for college prank fun.
Was it hard or?
That would be a follow-up question.
Now, first of all, when I first saw the headline, I thought, oh my God, Black Mirror. Of course. I can't believe it's real. But the second thing is, initially, in a dyslexic moment, I thought what it said was that there was a pig's dick in his mouth. And then once I read further, I was like, whew, okay.
Not so bad.
This is not as bad as I thought.
So you think blowing a pig is grosser than sticking your cock into a pig?
I think that was the way I felt relieved for him once I had read on.
Well, let me say this. Let's suppose that your friend, you found out had a one-night stand with a scumbag, right?
Sure.
I mean, a person who is disgusting to you.
Absolutely.
Would you have rather they bang that person or blew that person? What would be easier for you?
I think, I guess the bang would be easier.
All right, well, let's go to the guys for this. What do you think, Chris?
I think if it was just banging them is better instead of just blowing them and leaving.
What do you think, Joe?
I gotta say banging too, because at least you got it in.
And yet, all right, you're taking the point of the wrong size.
Yeah.
You want to be like, what's less gross to you?
What's less, if you found out it was a gross person.
Let me say this. When women, a lot of women's will say, when you're like, you found out when they were with a fucking disgusting guy, they'll go, but I only blew him. As if that's going to make the guy feel better.
Sure.
And you're like, oh, you only put his penis in your mouth, kept sucking on it until he came.
That's all? Great.
You didn't swallow it. You just put it all over your face and tits. Okay.
So it wasn't so bad.
That doesn't bother me. Honey! Let's wake up the kids and tell them now. But by the way, I don't know whether Joey pays attention at all, but I think he took it as a guy is with a gross chick.
Yes, that could
that's
be.
how I took it, yeah.
Which none of it doesn't bother any of us.
No, whatever.
Nobody cares.
I mean, seriously, Brad Pitt could have fucked the most disgusting woman ever, and everybody like, yeah, okay.
Well, it happens.
Makes sense, Brad.
I wonder, but I actually did say blow, so I wonder why Joey thought it was about a woman. Do you think that women have penises?
I guess not.
Yes.
I guess blow is less disgusting. If I was a
blow is less disgusting for you.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because you think like a girl then.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not less disgusting.
Trying to put myself in their shoes.
Every girl in Long Island, and I swear to God, is like this. They're like, I only had sex with 7 guys. And then you'll be like, is that a real tip? Oh no, I've blown hundreds of guys.
Hundreds. Literally hundreds.
Most of them in the car, same time. Just going from guy to guy to guy to blow them. But that is not on my list that I want to be open to you about.
How else do you think I'd get my number so high? Yes, multiple night. But certainly in the situation of a pig, don't you think that would be more disgusting? What I had initially thought.
Well, first of all, I haven't even thought of it. So yeah.
I don't know because it's pork and pork is delicious. So maybe I've never.
It's definitely grosser.
No, hold on. Wouldn't you eat pork dick if it was fucking made properly? I mean, I eat
Give me some.
I eat the liver. I eat the fucking
every other part's delicious.
Sausage.
But we're not talking about that. We're talking about giving pleasure to a pig, working at
this
it
was
to
a
please.
dead pig.
Yeah, wasn't alive.
He didn't put his dick into a live pig. He put it in a dead pig, like a gentleman.
Okay, I still think my answer stands. Even so,
this might be one for the ages. You should be going to the Pretty Good Prize Closet right now. I don't know why I got so stupid and southern when I said,
I don't know.
Go to the Pretty Good Prize Closet with me and my sister. It's our buddy Mooch. Who do we love more than Mooch?
No one.
No one. Mooch, what's up, buddy?
How's it going? What's crack?
Hey.
I don't know what everyone's freaking out about. I mean, it was dead. I don't see the...
So as long as it's dead.
Yeah.
All right, so someone who has sex with a corpse that isn't rape because the corpse is dead, and the jury should be sent home.
Well, it's not sex either. It was just oral, right?
Yeah, I think so. If it's oral, it's not sex. That's from the Clintons. Now, was it Mooch, you turned us on to Black Mirror? I know we discussed it with you before, right?
Yeah, I love that guy. Like he's honestly one of the funniest people out there. But he was sort of freaking out last night when it came out. He couldn't believe it. He was he's thinking like, do you think Cameron watched that show? I was like, does he know?
Thinking it was code. I get it, dude.
Well,
You're fucking with me now.
He's worried. Now he's worried what else in Black Mirror is going to come true.
Yeah.
He's trying to come up with this scary shit, and it's all.
Season 2 is coming up, or it's already shot.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure actually. I know that they signed up to do another season. I don't know if they've actually started shooting it yet.
I still haven't seen the Christmas special. I've saved it.
It's good.
Saved it for myself.
It's really,
I haven't
really.
seen that one either.
The most frightening thing happens in that thing.
I don't want you.
That's
even give me
already a
hint.
spoiler. to
Here's why
say
I don't want
something's
you to give me a
frightening.
hint, Chris.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing subtle about you. Because you'll be like this. Let's just say it gets a little bit of a knife in the eye, and I'll be like, dude, that's not even a hint.
It was though.
Yeah. I had never seen The Godfather, and I watched it with Chris. And Sonny runs out the car, and Chris looks at me and goes, "Uh-oh." I'm like, "What? Is he going to get shot?" Not saying. Here comes a phone booth massacre. You can't. I don't trust you, Chris.
It's fun.
You don't mean to do it, but you're not good at it.
It's a great episode.
But that is a good point. When the Prime Minister caught that, did he think to himself, "Who fucking told this prank?"
Someone is on the inside.
Mooch, great to talk to you, buddy.
Boys and ladies, excuse me.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye, Mooch.
Mooch, our friend from Ireland, married. It's one of our favorite people in the world, Pixie. And I actually say this: I was there the night that they fell in love with each other. I was there over at the Hard Rock when they were just like talking, and then everyone was like, "Huh?
What's happening here?"
Yeah, there's a little buzz going on." And off they ran. They're in Portland now.
It's a beautiful story.
Yeah, it is a beautiful story.
It really
and then
is.
every time I see Portlandia, I was like, is Pixie going to be in the background somewhere? Boy, you guys watch that documentary now show that they do on IFC?
I haven't caught it yet.
I have seen a couple episodes.
It's so fucking funny. I mean, it's just really funny, but I'm most excited because they're doing the Eagles documentary parody, which I thought was one of my favorite rock documentaries because just how they let themselves be exposed as the biggest pricks ever.
I saw the Vice one, which was hilarious.
Hilarious.
So good. Chris, you'll love that one. Huh? You need to watch that.
I know.
one.
I'm falling off.
Did the Durst thing win best documentary last night? That couldn't have been close, right? Nobody could have beat them. The Robert Durst
Yeah,
documentary. Did that get the Emmy?
I didn't see if that's what won. Yeah.
Thank you.
The
Oh,
Jinx.
because they didn't give it out during the night. They gave it out earlier.
Yeah.
And I didn't pay attention to when they start to read lists.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that took it.
Nothing was better than old Dursty.
I would like to have seen Jarecki up there, though.
See him just go up.
Yeah, just say a little something.
I wish they brought Durst out to get it. Oh no, Robert. You did it again. You won another Emmy. At that time, I thought it would be a good idea to cut off her hair with a shovel. When he's just doing that, I went and got a saw to saw off the hands and the feet.
Ugh.
And then I didn't know that the ankles would be so big. So I got an axe and started crashing them. And then finally I thought, maybe a bandsaw. And then I'm like, is there something I could just shove the whole body into? And I was doing this on the street in front of everybody.
What?
Oh, Robert, now you're going to have to kill all them.
Why can we not convict this guy?
He's high as a kite.
And then later tonight, I'm going to kill Stanley.
What? What, Rob?
Oh, damn it, Robert. Why would you say it in front of him? Inner voice. No, I got to kill him now. What? Who are you writing back to?
Oh, Mr. Judah Friedlander just texted me saying he's downstairs.
Right. Should we break first, or
we should break first?
First of all, let me just say this: love Judah Friedlander.
He's the best. He's
so
amazing.
happy he's back.
He's got the new book out, right?
Yeah. If the Raindrops United.
Did you get us a copy?
No, it's not out yet. It's available for pre-sale right now everywhere books are sold online. And the book launch for If the Raindrops Unite is happening Tuesday, October 20th at the Village Underground in New York City. Everyone who shows up gets a free signed book.
When is this?
This is October 20th, the book launch.
I would love to be there.
At the Village Underground. Everyone gets a free signed book.
Well, I like to go to those kind of parties now. I was supporting Anthony at his party.
And Judah will be performing at the Village Underground as well.
And this is sounding pretty good.
And the Village Underground, one of my favorite places in the world. All right, break. Right back. Judah Friedlander.
This is Bennington on Raw Dog 99, Sirius XM's Comedy Club.
Here's the problem with dinner. You're either overpaying at some restaurant or you're spending half your life preparing something at home. Blue Apron has changed that. Blue Apron delivers farm-fresh ingredients and step-by-step recipes to your home so you can create incredible meals without going to the store. For less than $9 per meal, Blue Apron sends you fresh ingredients perfectly proportioned. Blue Apron makes cooking delicious meals really easy and really fun.
Can I give you a Blue Apron story from this week?
Please do.
So I see it, I get it delivered to me, and I'm very, very excited about all the meals. But one, I'm like, pork and ramen, I don't think...
It's not normally your wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's not my normal wheelhouse
Sure.
because I think of ramen as something for children. And, pork, it depends on how it's made. I make this pork and ramen. And I may have made one of the greatest meals of all time. This is one of the things about Blue Apron that gets to me. I immediately stop giving anyone credit except for myself. And it's all about me and Blue Apron. Judah can come in while we do this. Because I didn't know that he was, didn't have somebody picking him up. But at no time do I expect of myself, I don't think... I just totally believe that I'm one of the great chefs of all time.
The great thing about Blue Apron, no trips to the grocery store and no waste from unused ingredients. Plus, you'll learn to cook with specialty ingredients that are normally hard to find. You'll be a master chef, cooking meals like basil sweet chili chicken with coconut jasmine rice. It's perfect for date night and cooking with friends and family. And each meal is only 500 to 700 calories per serving, but it tastes delicious. The best part is recipes change weekly, so you'll enjoy something new every week. Your first 2 meals are free when you go to blueapron.com/rawdog. Dinner should be healthy and delicious.
I would love to get Judah Friedlander on this. I would love to get him his first 2 meals free and let him know that he could become a great chef like me. Blue Apron. You are the champion of everything else. You could probably also be the champion.
Blue Apron you're talking about?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I actually I founded the company.
Oh, you did?
Really?
You started that company.
This is yours.
Yeah, I actually I sold it
years ago.
A few years ago, and they've just really blossomed.
Yeah, they have. You know what? I feel embarrassed right now for not knowing Judah. This is the
quite a
problem.
coincidence, too.
As hard as I research, I never do enough.
On the copy.
Yeah. No, they should. They should say, as founded by Judah Friedlander. Judah, is that the new book?
This is the new book. Actually, no, they were going to go with Gray Apron at first. I'm like, blue's such a nice color.
All right, so the blue was that was your idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you've always been able to cook well?
Cooking, eating,
Sure.
Yeah.
I call it killing and preparing.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, most
that's
people...
what cooking is, It's murder of plants or animals.
Yeah.
And then preparing it for consumption.
See, the vegans feel like they can get off because they're not killing an animal, but they are killing they're killing a
They're killing our air and our carbon dioxide.
All right. I didn't even think of it that way.
And they're stealing from dirt.
That belongs to dirt. All the credit should go to dirt. Right? Yeah.
I'm going to start calling vegetarians dirt thieves.
Yeah.
A bunch of dirt
Steal
thieves.
from dirt. They're horrible people.
Yeah.
They think they're so great.
But by the way, remember when you did that story before, Gail, about the people who die and they want to be put in the ground?
Yeah, so there's
So it's a tree growing through them?
Exactly. So there's a pod
Yeah.
connected to the tree, and then your decomposing body will then feed and give nutrients to the tree. And instead of having something like a headstone, now you have a beautiful tree in your honor.
I think that's cool.
It is kind of nice. Now, Dan tried to hand in the same story last week, but he wrote it up as they take your body and they push it down until it becomes a seed, and then a tree grows out of you. He thinks that seeds come from compressed bodies.
I didn't think that that's how it's always happened. I just thought something amazing had come forth.
Why would that be amazing?
A tree from a body? That'd get me to click on it.
But it's just not true.
It should have stopped you.
I guess it was nice to know it wasn't real.
Judah, tell everybody about your book, and we're all excited. We're hearing about
I have
the
a new
big-
book. I
Yeah.
only have a copy, so I can't give it away, but you're free to look at it.
Uh-huh.
This, I think it came out really well.
Yeah.
Actually. I worked very hard on it.
And you're nervous before you see the book because you don't know what's...
Yeah,
you know.
and it came out well. The publisher, they did a good job here. I think this book is going to solve racism and sexism.
Wow.
And bigotry of all forms.
Ow.
And
the name of it?
If the Raindrops United. And if you look at the cover,
yeah,
you can see there's this giant raindrop.
Yeah.
About the size of Midtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
And it's coming right at Midtown Manhattan. And basically the theme here is if the raindrops all really united and got together, they could really just wipe out a whole city.
Sure.
And the theme there is if people come together, they can really
wipe out cities.
Wipe out cities, which is,
or rain.
What
Yeah.
things are about.
Yeah. So, is that story when you came up with it, was that telling raindrops to unite or warning people, hey, be careful, the raindrops could unite one day?
It's actually both.
Yeah.
Actually, because it's an empowering thing and it's also a warning thing because it can, but ultimately it's people have more power than they think. But they
That
need
is
to work
true.
together.
Yeah. Do you work together with other people? You try to bring people
I work
together?
alone, actually.
And yet,
Nobody helped me on this book. I did it all by myself.
And yet the moral of the story is exactly the
work
opposite.
together.
Yeah.
Basically, if everyone buys this book, the world will be a better place.
All right, how many people are on the planet right now, Chris?
You're 7 billion.
All right, if he sells 7 billion of these books,
The real reason I wrote this book is I think there are too many trees in this
Yes.
planet, and I'm trying to do my part to get rid of trees.
Yeah, weed them out a little bit if you would.
Yep. So that's what it is. Yeah, feel free to take a look at it here. It's mostly it's a book of drawings and cartoons that I did, and it's mostly comedy. Some are like serious, like more of like a dramatic punchline.
Yeah.
And then
Well, give us one of the serious one. What's something that's serious?
Serious one
that we ought to take a good look at.
It's happening Tuesday, October 20th at the Village Underground in New York City, where everyone who shows up will get a free signed book from Judah. And Judah will be performing that night as well. And it's at Judah World Champ on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Wait, so you're saying the book is on sale everywhere right now, pre-sale?
Pre-sale.
So if I go to Bob's Big Boy, go to their website,
I'll
they're
check.
gonna have the book.
I didn't check.
I expected a better attention to detail. I really did.
I gotta change
You can actually get the book at Wendy's.
Yeah.
Wendy's.com. You can get the book.
You're going to do well with this book then.
Well, here's one. Here's one
Yeah.
here. It's a picture of people behind bars.
Yep.
And I'll let you read it.
Go ahead, read it, Cal.
It says, the American way, providing more free housing than any other country.
See? Our government cares about us.
Yeah.
We have 2.8 million people in prison. England has like a couple hundred. And that's because our government cares enough about our people to give free housing.
Free
and meals.
housing.
And
Yeah,
some
meals.
people, a lifetime supply.
Yeah.
And they can't even turn it down.
Yeah, I never thought of that as free housing, but you're right. These people get free. This is socialism.
Yeah.
So that's an example. So this is an example of a serious issue.
It's heavy.
Of incarceration / socialism.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to send that to.
Then here's a funny one.
Yeah.
Here's a pencil. And on the top of the pencil where the eraser is, there's actually 3 erasers. And it says, This is a pencil for a person who doesn't have anything to say, but still makes a lot of mistakes.
See, I actually see that as serious.
Yeah.
That would
Again,
for me.
it's a serious comment.
Right.
And here's another one. It's
Yeah.
called Kite's Revenge. And the kite is on the ground and the person is flying up in the air. And again, this is also serious because kites have been murdering children for years in this country. And the media never pays attention. Because the media hates kids.
Yeah.
That's true.
Mainstream media hates kids.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. You know.
There's also some nudity drawings in the book.
Okay.
Here's one. I'll just let you look at it first, and
Right.
then I'll explain it.
Here you go. Go ahead and explain.
This is a picture of a woman's breasts.
Yeah.
And the nipple.
Yeah.
And it's like a regular looking boob and nipple, and it says honest tits. And then there's another one of the breast, same size, but with a really long nipple. And that says lying tits.
So kind of the Pinocchio way.
Yeah.
Well, that could, you're saying that, but kids love this Pinocchio story.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they love this? Yeah.
Exactly.
Lion nipple.
Yeah. So, and then here's a football, and the way the drawing is, it's like, there's the stitching where where you throw the threading for where you put your hand and you throw it. Well, this one has another little stitching going sideways towards the bottom of it, and it's a football who's had its appendix removed. So.
There's a little more stitching.
Yeah, so that's a medical drawing.
I wish I had this book right now, but it's in pre-order.
It's in pre-order right now.
Oh, Chris, I'm getting some complaints. Some people went to the Wendy's website and they can't pre-order it.
What's going on?
Where do they need to go for this?
You can go to anywhere books are sold online.
Okay.
Everywhere books are sold
So
online.
Amazon.com.
Yeah, your Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
Barnes & Noble.
Ashley Madison.
Ashley Madison would be perfect.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? If you go to my website, judahfriedlander.com, there's actually a thing on there where if you pre-order the book now from any online retailers, you get a free signed poster of the cover of the book.
Wow.
And then if you go to my tour section, or if you go to comedyseller.com, the night the book comes out in New York, I'm doing a launch party and big stand-up show at the Village Underground, which is owned by the Comedy Cellar. It's their new room.
Great club. Fantastic club.
Yeah, awesome room. And so I'm doing a big headlining set there. There'll be a few other special guest comics on it. And everyone who comes to the show also gets the book. It's included in the ticket price.
Sounds like a blast.
So it's like a 2-for-1. It's like you're getting the book and you're seeing a stand-up show for free. There's another drawing of vampires protesting against daylight savings.
See, no one thinks that way.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Judah is the champion. Because he's not going to say this because he's very humble, but he's always been a champion of people's rights, and
a champion of the world.
Right.
And people live on the world.
Right.
So I'm an advocate for Earth and the people on it.
No one's ever done that before.
Yep.
To come out for Earthlings.
Yep.
And this book goes to support one Earthling, Judah.
Do you know what this drawing is?
No,
I'll just show. I won't show you the caption. It looks like the letter O or circle, but it's all kind of like jaggedy at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's a circle with arthritis. So it's an elder circle. It happens to a lot of circles.
Right.
And then I have there's a mini comic book in the book. Like a 10-page comic book in the book. And it's called Gentrification Man. And it's the first superhero who represents the rights of corporations.
Good.
And the rich and overprivileged.
Yeah.
Because, they've never had anyone representing them.
They don't. Yeah. That's very true.
So, and he fights for their rights.
Well, this is the perfect city for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I've been living way out in Queens for years, and a year and a half ago, I moved back to Manhattan. I moved to the East Village. Hadn't lived there since the early 90s. And it's like, wow, has it changed? So I really I've always been very aware of gentrification, but the past year and a half, it really hit to me. And Manhattan is just so, to me, it's like a weird bubble where it's like the least diverse city practically.
Yeah.
It's almost all white and a fair amount of Asian millionaires and billionaires.
Yeah.
And that's it. As far as people who live here, everyone still comes here to work and stuff. But
Right.
It's just a weird, and most people don't even realize that, they think it's still this diverse city.
I wonder if you had to put the average of how far people have to travel who work in the buildings that house the multimillionaires. Not even a millionaire could come here anymore and live in Manhattan.
Oh, no. I mean, a one-bedroom apartment in the Village is $1 million or more, generally. You know?
Yeah.
It's
There's
crazy.
studios that go for over a millionaire. And
my studio is $10 million.
It's beautiful, though. I mean, he's not. It's really probably the
It's a
greatest.
basement studio, but it's really nice. It's really, it's warm. It's right next to the boiler room. you know, and it's just nice.
It's cozy. It's incredibly cozy.
That's why I do it.
Last night on the Emmys, your buddy Tracy Morgan made his first appearance.
Yeah, I saw it. I haven't watched it with the sound. I was doing a show, and they had it on at the bar, and so I was reading the text.
Well, it was really sweet. Just everybody, you see how much everybody likes him.
Yeah.
He's just such a really nice man. And what I loved about it is that as he came up and started talking, you still had that Tracy moment of whenever he has the mic. You know what I mean?
Right. What's he going to do?
Yeah, what's he going to do?
What's Tracy doing now? What's he going to do?
Is this going to stop? Is he going to give the mic back? So I felt really good about that.
Yeah.
Well, he's actually hosting SNL, I think, in the next few weeks. I think
is he the second week's
I think this
host?
is maybe the third week, I think.
I think he, Amy, and who else?
Miley Cyrus, maybe?
Miley Cyrus, best comic in the country.
She's hilarious.
You know what?
So funny.
She also could have done your lying tits bit because she's got hers out all the time.
She's about that. Yeah. But let's just talk about what a great comic she is.
She is good.
Finally, SNL is really focusing on getting a host who's just got a lengthy career of comedy.
Yeah.
Finally getting the recognition she deserves. I remember Miley's first stand-up album. It just blew me away.
You're a fan back then?
Yeah. I mean, I really like her early stuff. The newer stuff, I think she's sold out a little bit. But
well, a lot of her stuff is song parodies. Like that Wrecking Ball was hilarious.
Sure.
But can you do that everywhere?
Yeah, I mean, Weird Al has definitely stolen a lot from Miley over the years. He wouldn't even have a career without her.
I'm not even sure if he's that weird. If I was his manager now, I'd say just call yourself Al and just go out there and do it.
I think that's a good point, man.
Yeah. You're Al.
I mean, when we first saw him, he was weird.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of used to him. He's a great guy. But it's like...
We were all weird then.
I mean, are we still really weirded out?
Yeah.
I actually got to work with him once.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I love Weird Al. It was just so cool. I did an episode of Children's Hospital. And I was playing Weird Al Yankovic. And he was also in the episode playing someone else.
That's great.
So it was just...
That's a hilarious show, by the way.
Yeah.
It was really bizarre.
It was funny. Yeah, just twisted.
But
and,
I've done a couple things with Weird Al, and he is so damn quick. People wouldn't realize.
Super smart guy.
Yeah, he's really smart, but really fast. And is a dude who totally knows who he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he totally gets that when people first see him, they're like, what? Like they almost don't expect him to be like a real person, Al.
Maybe. I don't know. But he is weird, man.
Yeah, he is. He might just want to stick with it.
He's got a great career. I mean, think about it. He kind of started... it's almost like he created a market for himself. I mean, there wasn't any...
Yeah.
I mean, he was who else is doing mainstream parodies and getting on MTV and stuff?
So, the weird thing is every radio station has that guy, but none of them get to go national.
Yeah.
He's the only one that goes national, and his last album went to #1.
And you know why?
Yeah.
It's because he's weird, man.
He is weird.
America loves weird.
Yeah. Well, as soon as he changed "Beat It" to "Eat It," I go, "This guy,
he's on something.
He's weird."
And he conserved letters. It's like he just didn't waste all those letters. I mean,
Are you excited about the book signings for this and going?
I am. I put a shitload of work into this book, and it was it's 208 pages. It's about 200 drawings of. All kinds of...
Well, here's what I also love.
Yeah.
This is comedy, but it's not like your comedy. You wouldn't go, I'll do this as stand-up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. This is comedy in a new medium.
Yeah.
For me. Because, stand-up, that's always my home base, and that's my main thing. But I like doing comedy in different areas. Like my previous book, How to Beat Up Anybody, was an instructional karate book, and that was basically a photo joke book. Yeah. You know, and this is like basically a drawing / art joke book. Right. You know, kind of, you know, it's jokes that it's, you know, it's not just the words that make the joke. It's, you know, the conceptual, the visualness where there are jokes also. So these jokes really do work better as drawings, you know, than they do.
And the way the Far Side years ago would always use the animals, but they would one panel, and one panel is a tough thing to pull off.
Right. Yeah. Most of these are one panel.
Yeah.
Some of them are 2 panels or, you know, a few pages, but, you know, 90% of this is one panel cartoons.
You know, Brian Regan, who was in here earlier today, I know that he, as a young man, tried to be a cartoonist first, and he had done a thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He did the character was called, I think it was Stickman or something, something like that. And he was a stickman where everybody else was normal, but he was the one stickman. Yeah. So he said he sent it out to one, you know, distributor, whatever you would call those news guys at the time. And they said no, so he just went, okay, that's it. I guess I'm rejected.
And he was a kid at the time?
Yeah, he was a young guy. And he had done it for like his college newspaper.
Oh, that's
and
so cool.
Enough people around college, like he went to someone's dorm and he saw one of his things hanging up. It was like his first time. He was like, this is great.
That's awesome.
You know? But then he sent it out once, and he was so young, he said he didn't know that you were supposed to keep trying over and over and over.
Okay. Yeah, it's like stand-up. You just keep going out there. Yeah. That's a good lesson, you know, and, you know, it's, you gotta like, you know, when you're creating any kind of art, no matter what it is, whether it's radio, whether it's you're wrestling, whatever, you know, you can't let someone else's, you know, gatekeeper decision, deter you. You know, you got to remember that's one person's opinion, and they may have a valid point. They may have a completely invalid point. And, you know, if you want to do any kind of art, whatever it is, you got to just go out there and do it and keep doing it and fight for it, you know, because most people aren't going to give you a break, but no matter who you are, you know.
Think about how many artists who they're not even creating for this generation. You know what I mean? Like they have to realize maybe in 100 years from now, people will get this.
Right. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. You have to work for the art, not for the fame, not for the money. You know, you always got to put, I mean, that's how I do it. Because to me, it's like, I've never been good at networking or any of that stuff anyways, you know, so it's like, I'm horrible at that anyways. So it's like, you know, and that stuff leads to fame. You know, good networking leads to fame. It leads to money. It just does, you know, it's business skills, you know, but, you know, that stuff can drive you crazy if that's why you're doing it, or if that's what you're thinking about. So, but if you just think about your work and your art, you know, that you should be good, you know, if you make that your main focus, you know.
If you make that the thing that enriches you and not the fame.
Right.
The weird thing is when you set out to make money or be famous, you can't retain it the way you want to, right? So you're never really going to be satisfied. You know what I mean? You might be able to get satisfied through your art, through the experience of it. But if it's just, even if you like have the #1 album for 4 years, the 5th year you don't have the #1 album, you're like, this sucks.
Exactly.
Everything's shit.
Yeah.
Now.
Like right now, I'm trying to, you know, I'm pitching myself to the late night talk shows, you know, and a lot are not interested so far. Some are interested. So I'm like, all right, how can I, you know, better pitch it to them? You know, they haven't seen the book yet, but you know, they've had some pitches. So, but it's like, and you know, that's frustrating because you want to be able to, you know, sell the book as much as you can, and you want as many people to see it as you can. But at the same time, you can't let it like drive you crazy, because you want to do it for the art, and you want as many people to see it. You want to share it.
I'm shocked that anybody would say, oh, Judah wants to do the show. I'm not sure whether it works. Because every time you've ever been on here, I've had at least one moment of, that my laugh is going on too long. I'm supposed to be hosting a show. You know what I mean? Like, there's always
That's funny.
Yeah, because when you're hosting a show, you just can't laugh like you're in the audience.
Right,
But I
right.
catch myself doing it
Right.
all the time.
Right.
But I see you fitting in on any.
Yeah, no, I mean, whenever I do those late night talk shows, it always goes great. You know,
Yeah.
I love doing them. You know, so, but you know, there's a lot of people you got to get through to get on those shows. You know, and they got all kinds of publicists, you know, going at them all the time and stuff. So, you know, it'd be
Especially
weird.
with this book too, cutting into these cartoons.
Yeah, it would be hilarious.
It seems like it would
Yeah,
be the perfect.
I think for TV it would be good. Yeah, you know, so if they care about America, they'll have me on their show.
Well, if they care about this planet.
Sure.
You know,
It's true.
I mean, it's what
Right,
were
it's
we
not just
third?
America.
We were third from the sun. Is that where we are?
Yeah,
Third
we're
rock.
third, yeah.
Sure.
After the sun, after this book, we could be second from this sun, or maybe even first.
Wow.
Yeah.
Get closer and closer all the time.
I also have a drawing here. This one is basically a comment on, because, you know, I have drawings in here that are, you know, anti-fascism, anti-racism, but this one here is making a comment about people who their heart's in the right place, but they don't fully grasp what's going on, and they wound up protesting against something that probably doesn't need to be protested against.
Okay.
I think you can see this one
Can you
here.
read that one to us, Gail?
This
Yeah.
one here on the left.
Yeah, so this one, there's a poster, and it says Smoking Awareness Week. It's like you're at a university.
Then on the left
there's
we
a
have good lung.
Right,
On the
which
right,
is like a white lung.
Sure.
And on the black, and then on the right side, it says bad lung, and it's all black. And then one person says to the other, this person is so racist. Another one's like, let's protest. So their hearts are in the right place.
Right, heart's in the right place.
Right, but they're completely
Yeah.
missing the fucking point.
Right.
You know.
Because even black people don't want black lungs.
No,
Yeah.
And
that's
that
true.
needs to be
Yeah.
pointed out. You know?
Yeah. So, so that's that one there.
Yeah.
You know, and, and I go to protests. You know, I've been to Black Lives Matter protests and
Yeah.
stuff, and, you know, I'm always pro people who are fighting for, you know, human rights and equal rights. But sometimes, you know, with, censorship and stuff, it goes overboard.
It's a
You know.
tough thing to pull off.
You know, like just, you know, that's a big, you know, topic in comedy now is the PC censorship. And sometimes I agree with the PC side. Sometimes I don't, you know, because sometimes they do bring up a valid point, you know, like even that girl, Suey Park, who tweeted at the cancel Colbert, who started that whole thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting because Colbert was basically, he was doing an anti-racism bit, but he was doing all these racial slurs to make that point, and he was doing all Asian racial slurs. And the girl tweeted this cancel Colbert thing at him because her point was basically like, okay, whenever you're doing racial slurs, why is it safe to do the Asian racial slurs? Why didn't you do any black racial slurs? And
Right.
she's saying that's because, you know, white people view if they do black racial slurs, they're going to get slammed really hard for it, lose their jobs. But, it's okay to do the Asian racial slurs.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like, that's an interesting point to bring up, you know, and a discussion to have, you know, of like, why is one group okay to do, but the other's not okay?
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, I don't think the show should be canceled or anything. It was a fucking brilliant show.
Right.
But that point is interesting, you know, and worth discussing, you know.
Well, you know, I saw Sarah Silverman was doing something the other day, and she said...
I haven't seen the interview yet,
Yeah.
but
But she said she wanted to move on and grow up, and she was like, comedians should move on. And I was like, yeah, it's not like you see any comics doing my wife is a battle axe joke anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, the fact is, you've had enough time now that should comedy itself be changing. Obviously, it's going to be up to one person.
Right.
But it's also up to the audience to, like, do I really... Like, when I was a kid, they would sell a book about the same size as this that would be 500 Polish jokes.
Right.
And you would bring it to school, and you would bring it... And,
That would never happen
yeah,
today.
and it didn't even use the word Polish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you would sit, and the kids would read it back and forth.
Right.
And, you know...
There were Helen Keller jokes.
Yeah.
There were dead baby jokes.
Right.
You know, the dead baby jokes were huge for a while,
Yeah.
in like the 70s. Or,
Yeah, there were
It's like,
dead-
I mean, if people did that now, they'd probably say, it's too insensitive. You know?
Yeah, they would always do the how many, how do you load dead babies into a truck with a pitchfork or something.
Right.
When you're a kid, you're like, well, this is amazingly witty stuff.
Brilliant.
Really love
Yeah.
what's going on.
Kind of dark, really. That's my style.
But I wonder today, like, what would happen? That'd be interesting. Like, if a book came out of dead baby jokes, and then a book came out of Polish jokes, would people be protesting both those books, or just one of them? I wonder. Because like for me, I would have no problem with the dead baby jokes, but the Polish jokes, I'd be like, all right, this might be, a little fucking bigoted here. Maybe,
But,
maybe I don't know. But so I don't know. So it's an interesting discussion.
Well, I always think that those jokes are kind of based on the last group that came into America at the time.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
whoever's being currently shit on the most. And it's always changing.
Yeah, it's always changing, but no one thinks to themselves, honestly, I've met some Polish people and they don't seem like they have culture and they're not as smart. You know what I mean? Like a great culture, great food.
I lived in a Polish neighborhood for 8 years. Fucking love Polish people.
Yeah. There was never.
It's like there's not one of those jokes describes one Polish person I've ever met.
And I always thought that when white people somehow scared black people off some of their food. You know what I mean? Like where I have two black friends who would tell me I would never eat watermelon in public because of jokes. I'm like, watermelon's fucking great.
Yeah.
By the way, so are ribs. So is chicken.
Yeah.
Everybody fucking knows it.
Right.
Don't just open restaurants like that. You know, soul food is the most amazing food to get.
It's awesome.
And yet you never saw like a chain. And the way like Italian people have chained their stuff out,
Right.
Black people kind of like back away from it.
Well, that's interesting.
Because of some gags that got done years ago.
Right. Fear. Yeah.
Italians are not embarrassed to be caught eating pizza or spaghetti.
Right.
They're like, this is great.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But that's always that thing that you can, what you own or what you don't own. Women, turned a couple things away when I was younger. Cunt was enough to stop traffic if you said that word.
It still can be.
Yeah.
It still
but
can
women now say it.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah, no. Yeah, I usually let a woman take the lead on that.
Yeah, right. Smart.
Feel
move.
that out.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
was
we're saying that now. All right.
I was actually, I ran into a girl I used to go out with, and she was often like, would say things. I think she dumped me twice in like 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And she would often say things that were just mean, So I was describing this to a friend of mine who's a female comic. And I'm like, well, how would you describe what she just did? And she goes, cunt. The word is cunt. Yeah. Cause she was like, I remember this girl said something to me. This was like, I'm trying to think, how should I set this up here? Yeah, she was saying like, this was one where like after we weren't going out anymore, but we were like still like, texting, on like a friend basis. So at one point she sends me a text. I think we should just do email now. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then one time when we were still going out in the middle of making out, she just goes, I just think it's so amazing and just wild that we're both attracted to each other. It's so surprising. And I'm like, well, I'm not surprised.
Why are you so surprised?
And I'm like, wow, that's kind of mean, actually.
Yeah.
And then my friend was like, no, the word is cunt.
That's what you're searching for.
Yeah.
There is something about vicious women, though. There is. That has a thing for men. Men.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Men see that vicious woman sometimes and like, she's feisty.
Yeah.
She's, she's up to something.
So that's a positive spin on the word cunt.
That is a positive, yes.
Yeah, let's not make it so negative.
You've got to meet her. She's a real cunt.
She's a real
She'd be
cunt.
perfect for you and your low self-esteem.
You've got to meet my friend. She's such a cunt. You guys will love each other.
You can pre-order Judah's new book, If the Raindrops United, everywhere books are sold online, and go to judahfriedlander.com. The book launch for the If the Raindrops United is happening Tuesday, October 20th at the Village Underground in New York City. And Judah will also be signing books and doing a Q&A at Powerhouse Arena Bookstore in Brooklyn, Wednesday, October 21st.
See, that's exciting to see you in a bookstore.
Yeah.
Doing a Q&A.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, and I'm doing other ones. I'm doing one in Cambridge, Massachusetts, at the Brattle Theater through the Harvard Bookstore. I'm doing one at I think it's Skylight Books in L.A. in November, and I'm also doing a show Wednesday, November 11th at the Hollywood Improv. Again, where everybody who comes to the show sees the show and gets a signed book. So I'm doing a bunch. Yeah.
That's really, really cool that you're able to tie those together as well like that. And this is your drawings, by the way.
Yeah,
Nobody else.
I did all the drawings and I did all the writing. Yeah. So.
Now, do you have an editor? Is there anything that like an editor said to you, Judd, I don't know if this fits in?
Yeah, I did have an editor. Yeah. Well, I was initially thinking of putting in this is all black, black ink drawings on white paper. And, I was initially thinking I had some color drawings and I was wanting to put some color ones in, but he didn't want to do that. And I think most of the reasons were budget reasons, but I think even aesthetically, it works better with it all.
It's got that Shel Silverstein.
It does, yeah.
Feel about it.
Simple line drawings and stuff. He was very good and supportive, and then the guy Kurt Iverson, who does my website, he did, because some of these drawings I did on pen and paper. Some I did with a stylus pen on my phone, or a stylus pen or a stylus pen on my tablet. Yeah, I started drawing again because I always drew as a kid. Always did lots of art, did sculpture, all kinds of stuff. And then, after doing stand up, when I started that, I really drew less and less. And then the past couple of years, I've been touring so much, I started drawing again, just as a way to sort of combat anxiety. You're just waiting around all the time, and so I just took out a little. And then instead of just working on jokes all the time, which is great, but sometimes you need a break from it. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just draw and and then after several months, I noticed, wow, I probably have 30, 40 drawings here. And then I'm like, wow, maybe I'm working towards a new book and didn't even know it, So it kind of just grew organically. And then when I had about 50 or 60 drawings, I pitched the book. And then, I went with this publisher, Hachette Books. And once I got that book deal, then I really started, canceling acting gigs, not going on the road, still doing stand-up in the city, but not going on the road, and just working like full-time.
And you love that feeling of making it about the book, though.
Yeah, it was good. It was almost like I had this drive in me to make it, and it's like, all right, I got to put this thing on hold and just do this right now. It just felt natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember years ago seeing a bunch of stuff that Jonathan Winters had done.
He did, he released a book of art.
Yeah.
Yeah. And paintings.
He would paint every day.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize, little kids know immediately the exact same thing that you were talking about is you get your head in a bad place. There's something about, pencil to paper or paint. There's something about working with that changes your state completely.
Yeah, it can be very cathartic, and just make you, it's almost like meditation or something,
Well, what happens is they somewhat beat us out of it, as young people of like, this is a good one, this is not a good one. But that has nothing to do with process.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. That's why, like, if, going back to what I said earlier about art, if you do art, even if it's, you're not making a living doing it, if it makes you feel good, keep fucking doing it,
Yeah.
But that's a great point you make about even art. It's like, as a kid, when you're in preschool, elementary school, they're always having kids drawing stuff.
Yeah.
Then you get to a certain point and there's none of that.
Yeah,
it's like,
they just
why
stop
not?
it completely.
Why? You should keep
Put that
doing it.
down.
It makes
Yeah.
you feel good. It's just like recess, You have recess where you go out and play as a little kid. And then when you get into high school, there's none of that. You're just sitting at a desk all day. People still need to just get out and have some
And
free
move
time.
around a little bit,
just be physical and do something.
Yeah. But also, I'm sure there were times that you were doing this that might have made your stand-up stronger because your brain went somewhere else.
Yeah,
for a
no,
while.
that's a great point. Like I said, stand-up's my main thing, but I like doing comedy in different mediums, not just for doing within that medium, but yeah, it actually does make me grow as a stand-up performer and, even from a thought process. So yeah, it kind of just helps everything, kind of makes you more well-rounded kind of. Yeah.
I was wondering if people even understood, because I think there's something connected between sculpting and acting as it is. Like an actor is almost sculpting in a weird way.
No, I think that's a great great analogy. I think that's something a great actor does.
Mm-hmm.
When I did The Wrestler, I may have talked about this before. I can't remember. I had a little part in The Wrestler. I had a couple scenes with Mickey Rourke, and Mickey. I did 2 days on it, and I did one day, and then 2 weeks later, I did another day. And me and him are supposed to be playing old friends, and he was always just mean towards me when we're doing the scenes and giving me attitude. So I'm like, all right, I guess we're not friends. I guess we've known each other a long time, and he fucking hates me. So I think that's the way we're going to play it here, because that's what he's given me, you know? But Mickey was, and he didn't always know his lines. He didn't always I never knew if he knew who I was or who my character was. It was just like, but he was so fucking good. And he was like, I remember my first scene in it, you don't see my face. My head is like cut off in the first scene, and you don't see his face either. He's got his back to the camera. And just looking at his back, he was like fascinating to watch. And the way he, changed himself physically for that role really was like sculpting. Right. And I remember before every take, he's asking the director, he's like, what's the angle? How close are you? What exactly do you see? Because he was so concerned with his visual presentation, his physical acting, and so I think that's a great point you make about sculpting and acting, because he was definitely sculpting his performance, and brilliant performance. Right. And almost all visual. There's a lot of scenes where there's no dialogue or anything. It's just him standing there or walking around, and he gives off so much emotion. You just feel for him so much. And
you wonder if they create a whole inner life, so that we're picking up on it subconsciously. Yeah. Like if you go up to someone and they're thinking about something that has devastated them, you're like, what? And they haven't even said anything to you. Their face hasn't changed, but something's different.
Yeah, I get the feeling he works inside out and outside in. Right. Where if you get the physical appearance right, that's going to do a lot of work for you. And then if you bring the inner stuff too, you got a full living, breathing character. Yeah. So. Yeah.
I think it's always amazing how many of the arts are connected, yet we want people to specialize. You know what I mean? If there's like an actor who sings or a singer who wants to act, everyone's like, what? Get back to where you belong.
Right. And then if you look at back in the day, like Bob Hope era, like everyone knew how to sing and dance. It was like everyone had those skills. It's like, I don't sing, I don't dance, but it's like, that'd be cool to know that. But
I went to see Rickles when I was a kid, and he did Jimmy Cagney, Yankee Doodle Dandy, with an orchestra, and he was tap dancing and he was singing as Cagney.
I saw him do that too.
And went on and on, he did the entire song.
He can sing and dance.
Yeah, there was no parody about it, and you're like, okay, this guy is studied. He just wasn't a nightclub comic. Yeah. He was in show business, in real show business.
Right.
And I wonder how much that also has to do with not needing to be the best at the thing, but just the desire to acquire more skills for the love of entertaining or for the love of
I don't know. I think back then a lot of people were just stand-up also wasn't as specialized back then. It was more vaudeville variety shows, and there were always comics, but I don't know, it seems like a lot of people they had they knew how to sing, they knew how to dance, they knew how to do drama, they knew how to do comedy. It seems like that was a way for a lot of people. And if you look at a lot of the sketch and improv people today, like look at Tina Fey. Yeah. Tina can sing. It's like she can probably dance too, but it's like a fair amount. They're in general have more of like a theater kind of background. Yeah. Whereas stand-up comics really don't. We're comics, It
was. I was just on the Ghostbusters set, and those.
Oh, nice!
Literally the set where all the stuff was, and
awesome.
Paul Feig took me through. But I watched.
He's like the nicest dude.
He's the nicest dude. He's the sharpest dude. I mean, what he does from that point of view of what it's like to direct that is about 50 different skills at the same time.
They have to have their mind all over the place. Yeah. And incredibly organized and creative. Yeah.
But I watched those girls after, the Ghostbusters after, and the way they interacted with the crew and they were all watching, it was real theater. It was like not anybody feeling like they were a star.
Right.
Or doing anything but supporting. It was very.
That's awesome. I think it's going to be good.
I hope so. I mean, right now, my mind was just so blown seeing it on that level that
so cool.
it just seemed like the greatest thing.
Was that in New York or was that in Boston?
It was outside of Boston,
Okay.
like 30 miles. He had this giant warehouse, secret warehouse. And I mean, the sets that I'll just tell you this. We were in this set for a Subway in this place that they had built. And it was a little nerve wracking being on the tracks because it felt like I could be hit. And when Chris was with me, when we walked up, to not consider what those set designers do to be art. I mean, it's as good as anything that MoMA is in MoMA right now.
The set designers and the the people who build the sets and do the paintings and the background art.
Unbelievable.
Sets. It's like they'll do all this work, and sometimes it's on screen for a second.
Yeah,
and you actually think it's real. You know, and you don't even know it. Because it's that good.
Yeah,
and they're that stuff's amazing.
It was phenomenal. But it always comes back to that thing too. I think that with movies sometimes that you're harsh on it because whatever your experience, but you forget how many years and what good intentions people put into this from the beginning,
Oh yeah. And if you look at the cast, I mean, the cast of the new Ghostbusters is hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Wig, who's as funny as it gets, and you have Melissa McCarthy. Who else is in it? I'm blanking all of a sudden.
Kate McKinnon.
Yeah. Kate McKinnon, who could become a rock star after this.
I adore her.
She's hilarious.
And Leslie Jones.
Leslie Jones, who is one of those people that, like, the second that she did SNL, it was like she was shot out of a cannon.
Yeah,
like
huge.
you see.
Huge.
And here's what was interesting to me. So Feig said he was watching her that first night. He's like, I got to figure out a way to work. I just saw this. I want to work with her sometime in the future. Then it found out that they had done stand-up together in the 80s. That's how long she's
been around a long time.
Yeah.
I first met her out in L.A. at the Laugh Factory, and she's been, and then, this is another good example where, people often, shit on the PC crowd, but people started protesting SNL saying, you guys have a black person problem. The show's too fucking white. There's no diversity. And then SNL was like, all right, we better fucking do something.
Yeah.
So they basically started a campaign to get a new black female cast member. And Leslie Jones didn't win that. She didn't win that, but she was hired as a writer, and then she became a featured performer and just took off, So that's an example of where, people pushing for equality were totally right, and it's made the show better.
I actually had the same thought because I remember being pissed that it was happening at the time. And Lord knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But when I saw her blowing up, I'm like, yeah, the show is better than having the black dude put on a wig and go running out again.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But it was great to see her on that. I mean, I was happy just to be, on this $150 million.
That's so cool when you get to see things like that. It's just really
here's what happened. I kind of shadowed Feig that day, and then we did the interview after, only because we had done this several times. And but I was watching her in between scenes, and I'm like, she knows this is important, man. She gets, because those what's ever happening with them, the scenes that I saw them shoot, they brought it, man. They were really funny and they were really physical. So I hope the best for him, man. And I'm glad that you love Feig because I'm crazy about him.
No, he directed a 30 Rock episode, and I think I had auditioned for him before at some point for something years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember him. I mean, I remember there was a video. I forget what it was called. I think it was called Paramount Comedy Club Theater. It was VHS video, and I think Howie Mandel hosted it, and it was like, an hour-long VHS tape, and there were like 3 or 4 of them. Each one was an hour, and on one of them, Paul Feig was, one of the comics. So I remember him from like 86, So, I just been a fan, and super nice, and
but he was telling me
super successful now, which is great.
Yeah, he was in comedy jail for years. Like, he was in movie jail where he said right before he got Bridesmaids, and because he went back and did TV and all the great shows.
A lot of The Office.
Yeah, The Office. He did I don't know whether it was Curb, but it was a lot of shows like that. Arrested Development and Bored to Death. Really great shows that he was working on. And he said right before he got Bridesmaid, they wouldn't let him do a kids movie, right? They would not. They said, look, you're just not the guy. You can't pull this off. And the next thing happened was Bridesmaids. But he thought, well, I'm never going to get to direct again, you know?
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing him on this massive, and you see how smart he is.
Yeah.
The whole time, and how giving, how, you know, he could be with you for a moment, doing sets, this person doing costumes, then be there for the comedy.
And that's another good lesson about, you know, doing your art, you know, how here's a guy who was one of the most successful comedy TV directors.
Right.
And Hollywood still, for years, was not giving him a break to direct a feature.
Yeah.
You know, because they're like, oh, well, that's directing TV.
Yeah, right.
You can't do a movie, excuse
Yeah.
me. You know, and then he does get the break, and his thing's the biggest hit of the year.
Yeah.
So.
He was also talking to me. I mean, I don't know, because the movie chain is studio has kept this thing on wraps a little bit because they're nervous. He was very open and talking about it, but he was also talking about casting this, that if he didn't get one of them, he probably would have used 4 different women. You know what I mean? Like, he was
interesting.
looking
The
at
combination.
Yeah, just the combinations of how to do this. And he goes, I'm not going to give away any of the actors, but a lot of them are very serious actors who have never done comedy. And if I went with one of those, I would probably have done 3 different people. And that's thinking of a level. It never dawned on me, even once, how tough that part of it is.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I didn't think of that either. That's very interesting. Oh, you know, how one person out of 4 can throw the whole thing off.
Yeah, just
to
lose it
carry
for
that
everybody.
level of chemistry, to know it's not just about getting a name, it's not just about
Yeah. Well, also, you know, a lot of those times, like if you would have put, you know, Eric Clapton in and switched him out with Keith Richards, you would have gotten a better guitar player, but not a better Rolling Stones, you know? That's
Great
the thing
point,
that people never really get.
Yeah.
Jude, it's so good to see you again.
Thank
You're
you, man.
so
Great to see
damn
you.
funny. The book is funny and smart and really, really different. I'm happy that, first of all, it's always amazing just to get something like that done and get somebody to put it out. And now to get it to the fans, I think is going to be great too.
Thanks so much, man. Yeah, I'll get you a copy later when I get more, because right now it's, you know, it's I mean, today's what, the 21st, so it's of September. This is out the 20th of October, so it's like exactly 1 month away. But yeah, I'll be getting more books later. I'll definitely get you a book.
You can pre-order If the Raindrops United everywhere books are sold online, or go to judahfriedlander.com. And the book launch is happening Tuesday, October 20th at the Village Underground in New York City. Judah will be performing, and everyone who comes gets a free signed book. And you can follow Judah on @JudahWorldChamp on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Thanks to Brian Regan also for being in here today. Radio City on Comedy Central. But let's send Jude out with his theme song, which had went number 1 on the charts, and from what I understand, during the show today, started to chart again. We feel like it could be number 1 by the end of this show.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's great stuff. The remix.
And now for your main event,